Sir, does he finish his homework, or do you just start him on the homework?
Like Alistair?
Yeah.
He does his homework.
I mean, like, how do I want to phrase that? Like, do you just start him off on the homework and he's doing his homework right now, or has he, like, already
Oh,
finished?
he's already finished.
Oh.
Okay. That's pretty cool that you guys
Mm-hmm.
have him do it on Fridays. Like, it sucks, but I think it's good.
Wait, his homework today? Oh, yeah, for the recording? Yeah, he's only supposed to make one recording of himself reading for 5 minutes once a week. So that's all he had to do. He did his other homework, the other days of the week. We just forgot about the recording.
Will happen. All right. Everyone's here, right?
Present.
Adam?
I'm here. My mouth is full.
Oh. Close a bunch of fucking windows so that.
Is anyone recording this?
Yeah, I got it recorded.
Do you need sound check it? I guess.
No, I was doing that while you guys were talking, so.
Okay.
Yeah, it should be working. The little bouncing green line is portraying.
Bouncing.
Yes, it's bouncing. All right. So, how do I want to start this? I have all the shit once I get it started, but how do I want to get you guys into everything? Okay, so the game is going to, the scene is going to start after you guys have been in the city for. Oh, this is how I'll do it. I'll go over just kind of like the nuts and bolts stuff that I need to get out of the way of what happened kind of in between. So, when you guys got to the city, you were rewarded for completing the quest that you guys did at Iron, whatever the place it was that I called it, Ironmore, I think it was. You got paid for that quest, and so altogether you guys were given 5,000 gold. So I think that's about 1,666 per person. So just put 1,670 each. For gold.
Say that one more time. Like it cut out 67?
Yeah, 1,670 is how much
Okay.
gold you all got. And that was a reward for completing the quest that happened before this game started. It was it's going to be like a portion of money that you guys have earned while you guys are here in the city. That's covered all of your expenses up until now. So that is the amount of money that you currently have. That's after putting your down payment and everything on the house and whatever. So, everyone remember that. I'm probably going to, eliminate a lot of the, silver and copper. And it's just going to be gold, just because I don't want to deal with multiple denominations, because it's confusing. And it's easier for me to just be like, yeah, that meal cost you 1 gold piece instead of, 12 silver or whatever. So when you guys got back to the city, you guys spoke to the little mining corporation thing, but a lot of the kind of information that they were trying to look at, the leads that they were looking for, kind of fell off, and a lot of the urgency to try to figure out that whole situation has kind of fallen to the wayside because of other conflicts and stuff that have taken place that the mining company had to focus on. And so that's still a thing that's happening, but it's kind of lost interest to the party, because honestly, it's not your problem if you're not necessarily there. So you guys have been in the city for about 8 months since you guys arrived here. in that time, you guys, when you first arrived, you guys met Laura. She kind of showed you guys around the city, and you guys ended up purchasing a house, or renting a house. You don't wouldn't quite have the kind of money necessary to own it outright. Um, but you guys have managed to find a place to live in the city. You guys have gotten to know the layout of the city, which is what I kind of went over last session. You guys have been able to kind of establish yourselves as not like a adventuring group necessarily, but you've made enough contacts that you get jobs kind of like thrown your way. Laura goes out and has helped you guys find jobs of like protecting a caravan, or being like part of like an expedition to go somewhere and acquire things. So you guys have kind of made a name for yourselves where people actually will sometimes think of you when they want kind of jobs taken care of. So it wouldn't be uncommon for you guys to get random jobs and stuff from people within the city. And does anyone like have any questions about anything? Like want me to go into more detail about anything?
Not yet.
Okay. And so how things are gonna go while we're playing is if like you're in a situation and you want to tell a story about something that happened like in the past or something like that, just go ahead and you can either make it up or you can ask me to kind of give you some prompts or whatever. But basically, like, pretend that you've been in the city for 8 months and all of the things that come with living in a city for that long. You've had experiences and whatnot. Alright. So, specifically for this session, Ayla, you told me that you were kind of interested in kind of getting back into some of the kind of noble house kind of things that are going on in the city. And so while you were in the city, you actually befriended a woman by the name of Lady Dahlia. She is one of the heads of
I'm never gonna stop talking.
She's one of the heads of House True Rot, which is the largest mining corporation in the city, and she's actually the wife of, if you remember the mining company that sent somebody out to go find you and was operating that city. She's actually the wife of the owner of that company, and so she kind of runs that organization. They are like one of 4 major mining companies in the city that are kind of like dueling with each other to try to become the biggest kind of corporation and have the most power and stuff like that. Lady Dahlia's kind of like taken a shine to you. She kind of sees like a younger her kind of in you. And so she brings you around and introduces you to the different nobles and things like that of the city. And when we start the scene and actually start playing, she has recently invited you to a announcement party that they're having up at their mansion tonight. And so after you guys finish with the dinner that you guys are all eating, you're going to go to this party and
announcement party?
Yes. So they've announced a new organization, or they're going to announce a new kind of thing that they have decided to do. And this is a party to kind of get all the nobles. It's basically like a fundraiser to get all the nobles into one place, announce this new thing, and then hobnob and get donations and stuff like that. I mean, this is not an uncommon thing. They do this almost every single night. There's some kind of party or whatever that these people go to. You've already been to several of them, and you actually know Lady Dahlia fairly well. So, like, when you meet this person, it won't be a complete, like, oh my god, who's this new person?
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any questions?
Mm-mm.
Okay. Then, Caden, you have, are you, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright. You have been, kind of getting reacquainted, with the city. It's very different than the last time that you were here. Um, when you left, the sprawl was run by like dozens of different gangs who had taken up residence in different parts of the sprawl, and there was constant gang wars, and there was no like civility within the sprawl. It was like a crazy fucking like free for all where everyone was just striving to find their place within it, which made it awesome for somebody like you. You could just, act without a ton of consequences. But since you've been gone, a person by the name of Xander Grimshaw has actually taken over the entirety of the sprawl to the point where he either murdered or subjugated all of the other crime lords within the entire city or within the entire sprawl, and he has conglomerated all of the power beneath himself. So a lot of these gangs still exist, but they all answer to Xander, who is now like the king of the underworld, and all of these different pieces kind of answer to him. However, you've managed to kind of, become reacquainted with some of the people that you used to know when you were a kid. However, none of them know you're actually who you are. You just recognize them, and so you had some history with them. And one of those people is a person by the name of Krabs. And he was like a kid when you were living here, and you guys actually kind of worked together, and you guys kind of grew up running in the same crowds and things like that. And so as you return, you kind of have this kind of soft spot for him, and you kind of have befriended him, and you guys have actually kind of like done some odd jobs, kind of nothing really like significant. Basically, it was just you kind of getting your feet wet again.
Mm-hmm.
But he's a character that you are well acquainted with. And then there is a tavern by the name of the Leaping Lady. The Leaping Lady is a fairly popular tavern that's kind of on the outskirts of the sprawl. It's where a lot of the people that aren't like rich but like are well enough to do that they can actually spend their evenings inside of a tavern, like dancing and drinking and having a good time. It's a very upbeat place. The reason you like it so much is there's lots of people from all over the kind of different districts in the city come here. And so, like, there's all kinds of different dances and stuff that people kind of show off and things like that, showing off their cultures and things like that. And so you enjoy kind of hanging out here. This has kind of become you and the rest of the party's kind of, like, go-to tavern. This is where you spend all of your drinking time and stuff like that. And while you've been coming to this tavern, you actually met a young lady by the name of Sarah Brantley. And you and Sarah Brantley have kind of started to become kind of close. It's up to you to kind of decide what that relationship evolves into. But it's fairly obvious that she kind of has more than just, like, familial friendship with you. She wants it to turn into more than that. But you have decided to go out dancing tonight, and you're pretty sure, like, you never have set plans with Sarah, but you've noticed that in the last couple of months, almost every time that you show up at the Leaping Lady, she seems to have already been there or show up shortly afterwards. And you're starting to get the impression that not only does she love the tavern as well, but you have a little bit to do with why she's always showing up. She is about 22 to 24 years old. We can discuss how old you want her to be, but she's in her early 20s. She's very...
Adam's an old man?
Yeah. Like I said, it's up to you guys where you want it to go. But she is also a dancer. She feels like dancing is like her escape from kind of her oppressive life. Her father is very abusive, and in the few like conversations that you have with her, she's kind of imparted in like vague detail. She doesn't seem to get into it super in depth, but that her home life is not entirely awesome, and she finds the Leaping Lady is kind of like an escape, where she can go and feel safe and not have to worry about kind of the overbearingness of her life.
So she has daddy issues.
Yes, she has a very abusive father. Yes, that's mentally and physically abusive sometimes. Then, do you have any questions, or do you want any further explanation about any of that?
No, I get it.
Okay. And then, Iris, since you've been here, you've managed to make several friends in a bunch of different parts of the city. But for this specific session, we're going to focus on kind of your life that you've kind of developed within the library.
Gotcha.
You've been spending a lot of time in the library doing research and just figuring things out and trying to gain knowledge and whatnot. And since you've been there, you've made a couple of friends. You befriended a halfling by the name of Dell. He is one of the library's junior archivists. Basically, he just spends his entire day cataloging and organizing and putting books back where they belong, and being a runner to go fetch books for kind of the rich people of the that enter the library. But he is also very inquisitive, and so he's noticed you researching like interesting information and arcane languages and trying to decipher different languages and dialects. And so he has started a habit of just bringing you books that he thinks that you might find interesting. And that was actually one of the first interactions you had, is he just brought you a book. And you were like, thanks. And then when you started reading it, you found that it actually kind of corroborated a lot of the assertions that you'd made in several other books that you were reading. Also, the head archivist, Grand Archivist Lindell, has kind of taken notice of you. And he's noticed that you are kind of researching things that are kind of more advanced than you would normally think of for somebody your age. And so over the last month or two, you've noticed that when you arrive kind of at your normal spot where you do your reading, that there's always 3 or 4 books that have been laid out kind of in your little reading area. And you've noticed that every time you kind of examine these books, that one of them has always been significantly more valuable and more rare and has special properties compared to the other 3. And it took you a while, but you kind of discovered that this was kind of Lindell's way of kind of testing you to see if you were able to discern books that are worth more or that are more valuable or just in some way special compared to the other ones. And so you've started to, whenever these books are there, you find the most valuable one, and you leave it on your kind of desk when you go home for the night. And so that's kind of been your life for the last several months. And tonight, when you guys are eating this dinner, you've actually been summoned to go to the library because Lindell has a something he wants to discuss with you. Did you have any questions or want me to explain any of that any further?
What is Lindo?
He is the head archivist of the library. So,
It means race, species.
oh, he's a half-elf?
Gotcha.
And he's about 135 years old, but which is kind of like towards middle-aged for a half-elf, but his hair is already graying, and his eyes are wrinkled from constantly squinting at books. But yeah, he's a half-elf. Any other questions?
Reading good light so I don't get squints on my eyes.
Yes. Do you have any other questions?
Nope, no more questions.
Alright, so I am going to go pee, and when I come back, we're going to open the actual campaign with all of you guys in your home, sitting around the dinner table with Laura, kind of discussing your plans for the night. So I'll be back. Give me like just a couple minutes.
Get a drink. A soda.
So, I should probably warm up and see or something. Hello there.
I'm here.
Whenever we haven't played D&D for a long while, I always get a little jittery, because, like, I'm nervous about
Oh, yeah?
performing, essentially.
Oh. It'll be great.
Thank you. Like, it always creeps back in whenever we take, like, any break, and it's been a pretty long break.
Oh, yeah. Like, my sister's, my sister is visiting right now. She just got in, and as you know, because of my dad's funeral and memorial service are this weekend, so she came down, and she wanted me to go out with her tonight. And I'm like, you know what? I still might be able to. Depends on when we end the game. But I'm like, we haven't played D&D in like 2 months, and this is our first game. But like, I can't miss the first game back. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, I know she's kind of feeling a little disappointed because you know she's visiting and she barely visits, and I'm like, you know,
Got plans.
yeah. I was like, I'm sorry. I'm like, I'm sorry. And like, she wanted me to come over to my mom's house yesterday. And I was like, but I'm already in my, like, I took off my bra, and I took off my makeup. It was like 6:30. And I'm like, what? I wasn't prepared to go visit somebody. So I just stayed home. So it's like twice I've blown her off.
Alright, I'm back. By the way,
Okay.
I'm sorry for taking you away from your sister.
Okay.
Alright, alright, so.
Not sure if Adam's back.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, okay.
Okay. Alright, so we open the scene with a lively dinner table. Iris and Ayla and Kaden are all sitting around the dinner table chatting and laughing after somebody just told a funny story about something that happened to them. And Laura walks into the dining room carrying 4 plates of steaming food. And Iris, you actually told me the dish that you made, so go ahead and describe what she's carrying on these trays that she puts in front of each of you at the table.
Okay. Yes, I did. What is brought out on these plates they're pretty, like, probably about the size of your palms put together, and they're just these big fluffy pastries inside them is a mixture of pretty tender beef mixed with vegetables and some other seasoning and spices. Probably a little bit not quite as cooked as it could be. I don't think Iris has done this one in a while, or ever. These are things I used to get when my family would visit Dragon's Reach. There's this nice little... There's a pastry shop, and, well, I just thought they were delicious. We'd always visit when we'd go there. These aren't quite how they'd make it. It's been a while since I've been there, you know, but these are the best I could do. Hopefully they'll get a little bit closer next time.
Well, I've never had them before, so I'm sure it's going to be the best I've ever tasted.
Laura kind of bustles around getting all of you guys drinks and whatnot, and then she kind of plops down into her spot at the table, and she's like, yeah, Iris was trying to take them out of the oven a little bit early, but don't worry, I made sure that she left them in there long enough so that they got nice and hot for all of you. So, what are your all's plans for tonight? Do you have anything special going on? Do enlighten me, Ayla. I've heard that you have quite the evening planned.
So you're just testing me to see if I know what my own plans are?
Oh, of course. You know how it goes.
Yes. I'm going to a ball.
And are you excited about the potential for some enjoyable dancing and nightlife? Maybe you'll meet a young man at the ball this time.
No. Well, it's just a lot better than hanging out with you lot. And I punch or I nudge Kaden in the shoulder, playfully.
And Laura laughs and she says, well, I just want you to know that I have laid out several dresses for you up in your room. Let me know if you like them. If you want something else, I can always find something else for you. What about... Go ahead.
I kind of really quietly say, thank you. And then go back to eating.
She just kind of gives you a knowing nod. And then she says, how about you, Caden? What's your plans for the night?
What are my plans? I don't...
You're going to the Leaping Lady to go dancing.
Oh yeah. Alright. Well, I'm gonna show Ayla how it's done on the floor.
But I don't think we're going to the same place.
Yeah, you're going to the Leaping Lady.
Oh.
She's going to...
I thought she was going to the same place.
No, she's going to a ball at the Gilded Plateau in the Lady True Rot's Manor. So she's going to a fancy ball. You're going to a pub to dance.
I like the pub.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. That's the inn. I'm dumb.
Yes.
Okay. Well, yeah. You guys know what to do.
I don't get why you guys like dancing so much.
I think it's just because everybody looks like a fool and nobody feels left out.
Iris smiles at that.
So Laura kind of pats you on the shoulder and she says, oh, Iris, that's because you don't like talking or spending any time with other people. In order to dance, you have to make actual connections and, touch somebody else from time to time.
Hey, that's not fair. Leave her alone. We've got a connection, Iris.
Yeah.
Got my tongue tied there.
She kind of laughs and winks at you, Iris, and she says, but what about you, Iris? What are your plans for the night?
Iris is gonna look down at her food. Go to the library.
Do you think you'll be dancing at the library?
No, certainly not. Iris perks up with a big grin on her face.
And she says, well, I do happen to have this note for you. It's come from a Grand Archivist Lendell. Looks like you're moving up in the world, huh? And she hands it to you. And as you open it up, it just says, Iris, I need you for something. And then Lendell.
Iris is just slip it into her pocket. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Well, all of you enjoy the dinner. Does anyone have any stories they'd like to talk about before you get ready for the evening?
No.
So you guys all spend the rest of the night kind of chatting and enjoying the meal, and you guys have all finished kind of eating this very delicious meal that's been prepared, and you're all kind of just sitting back like, wow, that was really good. You guys want to do anything before you leave for the night?
Let's just get ready.
Yeah.
Do you guys think you'll be gone for most of the night?
Mm-hmm.
Probably.
Okay. I have no idea when I'll be back.
And Laura says, "Don't worry, Iris. I'll be here when you get back. I'll keep you company."
Iris, just remember, even though you'll be preoccupied by a book, always have your senses up. You never know what can be lurking behind those dusty bookshelves. There's a couple of books I know that will reach out at you if you're not careful.
I think
Are you being serious?
Yes.
What are you saying, Adam?
Iris looks a little bit concerned.
like take Valentine with you too, just to be safe.
Okay.
And then I'll say this is something that I started doing when we got to Aladoon, but I'll snap my fingers and Valentine will like shrink down and be a lot smaller, maybe like 6 inches tall, and still has like the cool mask face and 4 wings, but it looks very dollish.
As you do that, and you hold it's a owl, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you hold it out to Iris, you hear a and you see Laura, and she turns and she's like, oh, stop that! And she gets up with her broom and starts batting the cat away from the thing and says, oh, I forgot to tell you I brought in another stray, but I'll find a home for it. And she picks up the cat and starts heading to her room.
Ours on the Valentine. I really love Valentine this way. We should keep her more like it.
It's only like this to be less conspicuous.
So, anything else? All
Do
right.
we have any way to contact each other out of curiosity? I don't think so. Right?
Nope.
You get in trouble, Valentine will come to me.
Yep. So like,
Do you want crackles?
Sure, I'll take crackles.
I was just a pile of bones.
And more to the collection.
and as you're handing the bones to Caden, Laura comes out of her room and she like sees the bones and you just see her like look at you with this like, these darn bones. And you guys have had multiple arguments about you leaving your bones lying around the house, and you go, but it's Crackles.
Crackles.
All right, so you guys retire to your rooms to get ready for the evening. Does anyone want to talk about anything special that they do, or like some kind of like a ritual that you guys do before you leave at night?
I think Ayla will literally try on every single dress.
Mm-hmm. And I think as you're doing that, like it's almost uncanny, but like you'll be putting on like a dress and you'll be like standing in front of the mirror kind of looking at how it makes you look, and Laura will just open the door and hold out a necklace to you that like fits perfectly with the dress that you have on, and then close the door and go do something else.
Yeah. I think also Ayla's still kind of embarrassed of letting the other people see her in like a dress because she's been, way not like this for a long time.
Mhm.
Longer than a regular human lifespan.
Of course.
But
Yeah. And I think Laura always makes sure she just cracks the door to make sure she doesn't even look in. She just holds it in. And you always wonder how the hell she knows what you're actually wearing.
She's a fairy.
She might be. All right. Iris, Caden, do you have anything?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Nope.
Alrighty. So we're going to start with Caden and his story. Let me go ahead and I just gotta pull up a couple of things. Get my character sheets open. I have so many that I have to only have the specific ones for the scene, or I get confused. But I decided to make them all individual because the one document was not working for me. Alright, so the Leaping Lady Tavern is... Get you guys into the right one. So, ignore the dude running away from the mob.
Watching the dude run away from the bomb.
Yeah, that isn't actually happening. I just liked the picture. This is the Leaping Lady. Alright. So the Leaping Lady is built into the side of the cavern, approximately 200 yards from your home. The way the sprawl works is the sprawl is like a massive slum city built into the tunnels and whatnot that used to be the mine shafts. But as you kind of exit the sprawl and get closer to the central ramps, it opens up and there's some more open space and more of the permanent, nice buildings are kind of built in this area. And the Leaping Lady is built out of obsidian, bricks, and the sign in front of the door is of a woman doing what's the leap, not pirouette, because that's when you spin, I think. I can't remember. Tierney's told me all the dancing moves, but anyways, basically a ballerina leaping.
Okay.
And exactly. And as Caden steps into the dimly lit interior of the Leaping Lady, his eyes instantly search for a familiar face. The sounds of the tavern, a blend of laughter and heated debates and the clinking of glasses. Actually, let me, before I get into this.
Oh. There's stuff happening.
Okay. So, as you enter, a blend of laughter, heated debates, and the clinking of glasses. Despite the crowd, your eyes are drawn to one particular spot. There, by the grand obsidian hearth, with the flames casting a warm amber hue around her, stands Sarah. Every time you see her, you're reminded of why she so effortlessly stands out. Sarah's posture, graceful and poised, is complemented by her long, wavy auburn hair, which cascades like a waterfall down her back. Those deep hazel eyes of hers, always observing, always curious, lock onto yours, and her face shifts into a radiant smile. As she looks at you, she waves, and you see her. She's wearing a flowing dress, dark as midnight, which shimmers with every movement, reflecting the tavern's dim light in muted golds and silvers. The soft leather boots beneath her dress hint at a woman who's always ready to move, to dance, or potentially to escape if need be. The simple silver pendant around her neck catches your eye. You've noticed this pendant before. It's clearly important to her, and it is a simple silver chain with a tiny silver dancer in a perpetual spin. As a pendant. She often touches it when she's just kind of hanging out just to make sure it's there. and she also often grips it with her fist whenever emotions are high. She waves to you and makes her way over to you, and she's like, "Oh, Caden, it's great to see you. I had no idea you were coming in tonight."
Um, Neither did I, apparently. I'm forgetful sometimes these days.
Oh, yes, it's the old age taking you, isn't it? And she kind of like laughs and like puts her hand on your chest, and she says, "But I'm glad you're here. I've been having to fend off all of these ruffians. Been asking me to dance, but I was waiting for you."
Alright, did you need me to scare them away with my,
And she
what do you call
finishes
those?
and she says, "Your rugged good looks and biting wit."
Yeah.
And she kind of winks at you and laughs, and she says, "No, I think just you being here will keep him away. So, do you want to dance?"
Yep, we gotta keep in.
Awesome! And
good
she
form.
just
Okay.
grabs your hand and starts pulling you onto the dance floor. And I need you to roll a performance check.
Oh, I forgot to take my. Oh, fuck. Hold on. It's lovely. It's been so slow for me. It hurts. Everything else runs fine, but I rolled 20.
Wonder why. Weird.
Yeah, and it did that bug thing for me. It says it's not responding, and then it's responding.
Oh, you roll pretty well, at least.
I need to leave this.
No, that was Sarah.
Never mind.
Yeah, I can't. It's a white screen for me right now.
What the frick?
Only my character sheet. Oh my god. Well, I don't have this problem with anything else. There we go. Okay, it's loaded. Alright, what do you want me to do?
Roll a performance check.
Performance?
Yes.
Like a...
Awesome. Okay, so Sarah drags you onto the dance floor, and you start dancing. And at first, you recognize how good Sarah actually is. She's obviously had some formal training in dance, and so at first she tries to kind of lead you and take over the lead role, but you effortlessly kind of take back control and describe what kind of a dance you guys do.
I feel like this one is less. It's I don't know a lot of dances in real life, but I imagine it's more fast paced, more about bumping or going around in circles, twirls,
Kind of like an Irish jig almost.
Sure.
Yeah, so you guys are bouncing around a lot and lots of spins, and as you guys are dancing, it's almost like a circle opens up for you guys in the center of the floor, and before long, during maybe the second song where you guys are dancing, it almost looks like everyone's just watching and stomping their feet and clapping along to the two of you as you guys put on a show for everyone with your dancing prowess. At first, she kind of takes the stage and does leaps and spins in the air, and then you kind of take over with a more grounded approach, kind of lifting her up and spinning her in the air and kind of spinning her around. And you guys do this for what seems like forever until suddenly both of you kind of stop and take a bow. And the crowd goes nuts. Everyone was just watching the two of you, and you see as Sarah kind of grips her pendant and kind of smiles and looks at you with this sheepish grin, and you can just see on her face how she's soaking in kind of the praise of the people around her, and she says, "Oh, I'm out of breath. That was amazing. Oh, Caden. Oh, I'm so impressed with how you dance. Buy a girl a drink?"
Well, dancing gets better with age, I hear. One thing I'd like to point out too is I'd say my rapier. Whatever music they're playing, it's my rapier repeat is like redistributing the sound,
Mhm.
so it's like louder wherever we're at.
So it
So you might hear it from multiple directions. Like you might hear the band behind you, but then as I'm passing, you hear the music coming from Caden too.
yeah,
Like,
and I
so
think
weird.
when you guys are dancing, it like harmonizes with the music that's being played around you, and so like you almost have like this little bubble around you where the music is just like surrounding you.
Speaking of, shout out for
Yeah.
laughing for a second.
The music almost
You did
feels
that
like
first.
it. I did. Surrounds you and like makes you more grounded within the actual music itself. Almost like you guys are in your own little world while you guys are dancing. But she says, buy a girl a drink.
Yeah, I'll get you a drink. What do you want, milk?
And she like looks at you like kind of pouting a little bit. And she says, yeah, sure, Caden, milk. Come
I'll
on.
get you what you want. Why don't you have one of these young gentlemen? I'm sure some of them will gain their dancing feet eventually.
No, I think I'm okay just spending some time with you. Come on, let's go to the bar.
Alright.
And you guys make your guys' way over to the bar, and she orders herself an elven wine. And what do you order?
My brain. Captain Jorgen.
And as you get to the bar, you see hold on.
Spiced water mix.
I made a barkeep. I just need to remember her name. So the bartender is a dwarven woman by the name of Rebecca Steeljaw, and she's about three and a half feet tall. She's got
She's short.
yeah, she's a very short little lady.
You said steel jaw, and I imagined half orc.
Yeah, she's a dwarf.
Oh, okay.
And she's got red braided hair, and she comes up to the bar and walks up onto the she's got like a little platform behind the bar so she can actually stand tall enough, and she says, that pig's will, and she pours you a shot of it, and she says, and for you, my lady, and gives her a glass of wine with like a tall, like thin stem, and Sarah takes it and takes a sip. And she says, so, Caden, what have you been up to? I haven't seen you in a couple days.
Have I really been up to anything?
It's up to you.
Oh, okay. Just been, creeping around old haunts, talking to old friends, and then spending time with the family, I guess.
Well, I wish I could have actually been up to more. Haven't really done anything lately. My stupid father is constantly on my case. But I hear there's an auction going on soon. Have you heard anything about that?
I heard some whispers here and there about it.
And she kind of smiles and she says, yeah, I heard there's some really cool things that they're going to be selling there. I wish I had the money to go to those places. And as she's saying this,
Wow, that cookie looks really yummy. I bet that tastes good, huh? Does it taste
Yeah,
good?
yeah. That's exactly what I was thinking. I think Caden's looking at her in a certain way, like, are you asking me to help you go to an auction? That's so funny.
Anyways, as she's saying this, this man walks up to the two of you and says, why is this not doing? Oh, there you go. This guy walks up and kind of like puts his arm on your
You?
puts his arm on your shoulder, and he's like, sup, Caden? What you been up to?
Is this crabs?
Yes. This is.
I
This
do
is-
you make him look like that?
Because it's these crabs.
Okay. Poor man.
Krabs stands about 5'9" with a wiry, agile build, reflecting his life as a criminal in the Aladoon streets. He has hazel eyes and short, sandy brown hair and a scruffy beard. He wears worn leather armor, and he actually wears a distinctive tricorn hat. So he's like, "Hey, Caden, been looking for you."
Oh, you found me.
I got something I want to talk to you about. And he kind of glances over at Sarah, and he says, "Who's this fine-looking young lady?"
Oh, this here is Sarah.
Sarah kind of like looks at you and kind of looks at him, and she says, "Do you know him, Caden?"
Yeah, this is one of my friends.
Oh,
He's a good friend.
okay. And she kind of looks like, looks at you and kind of like opens her eyes, kind of like, "Do you want me to leave or do you want me to stay?" Like,
I'll
Hey.
go talk with them for a little bit. You can handle yourself against these gentlemen. And I imagine there's like a few guys like looking over.
of course, she's very attractive, and so she is definitely very popular at this pub. She says, "Okay, well,"
I'll pull out like a small pocket knife. I'm like, in case you need it.
she actually takes it and tucks it under her dress. And she kind of smiles at you and leans over and gives you a kiss on the cheek. And she says, "Don't keep a girl waiting too long. I want another dance before you go." And she kind of winks at you and kind of scampers off to go start dancing again. And Krabs kind of like watches her go with like, you know, the way that guys watch girls go. And kind of winks at you and he says, "You dog."
No, she needs someone else.
And he says, he kind of like spreads his arm. He says, "I can be somebody else."
Good luck.
Like, "You won't even put a good word in for old Krabs?"
I gave you one. I said you were a good friend.
Anyways, I got something I want to talk to you about. I might have a job. What do you think?
Alright. Do you want to talk about it here?
And he kind of looks around, and as he's kind of looking around, Rebecca walks up, and she looks at you, Cade, and says, "That'll be 5 gold."
I give her 5 gold.
And she takes it, and she kind of looks at Krabs, and she, like, kind of fingers this cudgel that she wears at her hips. And she says, "Make sure that one stays out of trouble." And she kind of looks at him with a glare, and, like, walks away. And he kind of grins at you, like, "What? I always stay out of trouble. Yeah, let's head to the back room over there. I just, maybe a little quieter to talk about this." And he starts heading towards the back room.
Yep, I'll follow.
Alright, so you guys head into like this kind of like back storage room type of area. There's like barrels and boxes and stuff. This is clearly like a little dry goods storage area. And he hops up onto one of the barrels and he said, "Have I got a story to tell you? You'll never guess what happened to me the other day." And he's like, "All right, looks like you're not going to guess. Let me tell you." All right.
Thought about it.
So, I was just minding my own business, walking through the Forge District, just minding my own business. And wouldn't you know, I hear this voice behind me. And it's like this female's voice, so I turn around, and I see this lady. She's like, maybe like 5'6", something like that. She's kind of short. She's wearing a hood, and she's got blonde hair kind of down to her shoulders. And she's like, "I hear you're Krabs." And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Krabs. What do you want?" And she's like, I got a job for you. And I'm like, psst, come to the right place. That's what I do. I finish jobs. And she's like, yeah, meet me here. And she tells me to go to this place. But for the life of me, I can't remember where it is. But somehow I got there. I just remember I showed up there, but I can't remember the trip there. It's very strange. But anyways, that's not... I was probably drunk or something. I get drunk, don't remember. It's one of those things. Anyways, so I show up at this lady's place, and she's like turned this old like mill into like an arcane laboratory. She's got fucking bottles on the fucking cabinets. She's got fucking shit boiling, fucking liquid dripping. It's like a fucking alchemist lab, you know what I mean? But can you believe that shit? That in the middle of the sprawl, this lady's got a mill turned into a fucking alchemist lab. That shit's gonna blow up for sure. But anyways, I tell this lady, I'm like, what do you want from me? What can I do for you? And she gives me this drawing. And like, she says, I want you to steal this. And so she hands me this drawing. And could you tell you, it's the craziest shit. You know what's on that drawing? It's like a pocket watch. It's like an intricate like pocket watch. And it's got a weird face on it. It looks like it's made out of metal. And she says, I want you to steal this for me. And then, guess what she says to me? Go ahead, guess, Caden. Guess what she says.
Wait, she said she wants you to steal this for her?
Well, yeah, I already told you she said that. But guess what else she said?
Does she pay you?
Well, of course she's going to pay me. It's crap. She's not going to do it for free. Of course. She said 500 gold to steal this thing. Can you believe it? 500 fucking gold. That's crazy. But that's not what the crazy thing is. What the real crazy thing is, she says, hey, why don't you bring that new friend of yours with you? Make sure that he gets involved. And I was like, which friend is that? And she just kind of smiled and kind of like looked off in the distance. And she says, you know who I'm talking about. And I was like, only person I could think of was you. So here we are. I'm here talking to you, trying to get you involved. What are you thinking? You think we can get involved in this together?
Wait, what did she look like?
I told you, she was like a lady. She had blonde hair, about down to her shoulders. She was thin, kind of like she's wearing a cloak. She was like a magic chick.
Does that sound familiar at all? Should I, Adam, recognize this or no?
Roll an insight check.
History or insight?
History, whichever.
Oh, okay. Well, I think I have better history. So that. Yeah, I have way better history.
I mean, it sounded pretty familiar. But like, the face that he described sounds familiar. Do you have any questions? You can ask him some stuff. So what do you think? You want to get involved in that? That sound like something you'd be interested in?
I'm curious of why she would want me.
I don't know, but it was weird. She told me, and like, the crazy thing is like at first, I was like, psh, this crazy bitch wants me to steal this shit. I don't want nothing to do with that. Like, I don't know her, she don't know me. All of a sudden, she find me in the little sprawl. I thought that shit was a setup. But then I started thinking about it, and I was like, yeah, this sounds like a great idea. I think I should definitely do this. Like, I should definitely do this. So, like, I left, and, like, I had to come find you. I talked to her yesterday, and I was able to find you today.
Do we know anything about this watch, its history?
She didn't tell me much. She just said it's going to be at the auction tomorrow, and that we need to show up there, take a good look at it. She suggested maybe some things, but, like, she's a fucking wizard chick. What does she know about stealing shit? I figured we come up with a better plan. She said maybe see who buys it, follow him home, knock him over the head, and just steal that shit. But I thought maybe we could come up with a plan, do it like a little bit, like underhandedly or something, or maybe like sneak in there and fucking grab that shit and get the fuck out of there. What do you think?
Well, you've got my curiosity, but I'm just making sure it lives up to my code. Seeing who buys it would matter.
Yeah, she said a bunch of rich people are probably gonna want to buy this, but she said it's very important that we fucking find it and we fucking get it back to her. And she said 500 gold, man. That's 500 gold. When's the last time you had a gig that good?
Just to be fair, how much do you think this thing's gonna sell for?
Fuck if I know. It's just a fucking watch, to all I know.
Well, if it's selling for more than 500 gold, stealing it and then selling it rather than returning it.
I don't know if I want to go against this. I don't know if I want to go against her. She looked like she could fucking electrify my nipples and shit.
No, just mostly thinking out loud.
You do that sometimes. It's kind of weird. You do it kind of often. It's fine. I thought it was just you being you, but I just want you to know. It's kind of weird.
Right. I think it couldn't hurt to go to the auction to see. And I mostly want to figure out who this person is.
Oh, well, she said that by no means are you allowed, to come see her. She said that. She said that was a big deal, but to definitely get you involved.
Interesting.
Yeah, and
And then how am I supposed to give it to her if I can't see her?
Well, no, you give it to me, I take it to her, I get the gold, and then I come find you. You trust me, right?
I turn to my right to talk to Ayla, and I'm like, oh, shit, I'm alone. Like I was about to consult.
Yeah, for sure. He's like, but you trust me, right? We go way back. Like a month, 2, maybe 3. It's been a while.
Is this to really help you build your reputation? Because if you're asking me for a favor for that, then I'm more willing to do it.
I mean, do I really... Come on, Caden, you're gonna make me ask you? Be like, do this for your old friend Krabs?
Yeah.
Alright, well, I guess you are gonna make me do it. Come on, Caden. Do it for your old friend Krabs. Alright, nice, sweet. That's awesome, man. That's real good. Alright, so here's what we're gonna do. So that auction's up there in the fucking Gilded Plateau, you know where all the rich people live, where we like to steal shit? We're gonna steal something from them one of these days. Remember, we talked about it. This might be the thing, Caden.
Alright. Well, let's start one step at a time.
Alright, so tomorrow, auction's gonna be in the evening, about 6, 7 o'clock. I know it's hard to tell time down here with no sun, but you just see that big clock in the middle of the tower. It tell you what time it is, and that's where we're gonna meet. Okay?
Sounds like. Do we have to pay to get in?
I mean, no. It's Krabs, man. I'm gonna figure out how to get in there. Probably. I'll figure it out. I got connections, I think. I mean, but if you wanted to look for a way for us to get in, that would be helpful too. I'm gonna try to find a way in, but don't you worry. I'll probably do it. But if you wanted to try too, that wouldn't go awry. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Love your commitment to the quest.
Oh, of course. That's me. It's Krabs, I'm committed. I was committed, I still can't believe I still have this nickname. But still, it's Krabs, That's what I do. So, what do you think? So that everything copacetic or worked out? We got it all our ducks in a row, if you will.
Yeah.
All right. Well, don't let me keep you from that fine lady over there. She keeps looking at us. It's kind of weird. I don't but yeah. So I'm gonna get out of here because there's a lot of fancy people in here I don't really want to associate with. And yep. So
it'd be good to have a little more up and up association. It'll help the reputation.
I don't know about that, but you might be right. You might be right, Caden. I mean, I listen to a lot of things you say. I don't know about this one, but I do listen to you. I'm gonna go though, and
after we do this, you owe me getting yourself a new pair of leather.
But what's wrong with the duds, man? I like this leather. It moves with me, It may have a couple holes, and I mean that's a new hole I had. And he puts his finger through one of the holes in his shirt, and he's like, I mean, yeah, maybe I'll get some new leather. I mean, but anyways, I gotta go. You go back and you enjoy yourself. I'll see you tomorrow. We're gonna steal that watch. We're gonna be legends. I'm gonna be a fucking gang lord by fucking this time next week. It's gonna be great. All right.
Yep. Go wash your hair.
And he scratches his head and he's like,
If
yeah.
we're not going to that thing auction unless your hair's washed.
I mean, all right, Caden. I can do that. I mean, your one request, I guess, is
If you want,
my
come over and I'll make sure it gets nice and scrubbed.
is that maid of yours gonna be there? I like her. She cooks those good fucking dumplings.
I was gonna do it for you.
Oh, that's not nearly as fun. But all right, I'll see you.
Had Grandpa give you a sponge bath?
Jesus Christ, Caden. Well, it's definitely time to go now. You enjoy the rest of your day, and I'm gonna go steal something. All right, and he takes off.
Alright.
And as you kind of walk back into the tavern, you see Sarah kind of like away from some of the people, like leaning against the bar, kind of like staring over at the two of you, kind of fingering the medallion on her neck, kind of just spinning it, looking not super happy. But anyways, when she sees you kind of looking at her, she smiles and she says, "Oh, Caden, you're done. Come here." And she kind of waves you over.
Well, I don't see any blood, so everything's alright.
And she says, "Yeah, I was just So what did he want?"
Well, looks like your want to go to an auction might come true. He invited me to one.
What for? And she has a cocktail, and she just goes, "What for?" and kind of takes a sip.
I should think before I speak. Mostly just to see what kind of stuff rich people are auctioning.
Oh.
That doesn't sound great.
She kind of smiles, and she says, well, I hope you guys aren't getting yourselves into any trouble or anything."
Oh, honestly, a little bit of trouble is fun now and then. I don't think it'll be a big deal. Mostly just going to look.
And she says,
If I thought it'd be trouble, I wouldn't invite you.
and she kind of smiles, and she says, "Are you inviting me?"
You asked. You saw the cookie on my plate. You said it looked delicious.
And she kind of looks at you like confused for a second, and she says, "Okay, so would you be like taking me? Like, would be like going together?"
Well, I thought it'd be fun if we have personas. I'll be your dad. No, maybe not your dad. Uncle. Because you have, your dad. Don't get along. Uncle Caden. How's that sound?
She kind of looks at you and she says, "I think we'll pass on that, but
Alright.
maybe we could meet there then."
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Awesome. Well, hey, it's getting a little stuffy in here. You maybe want to go with me to get some air outside?
Outside. I mean, we're technically always inside. Yeah. We
Yes.
can go outside, inside.
Yes, Caden, I am aware that outside is still inside. Would you like to leave this
It's
building?
the rum. I'm sorry.
Would you like to leave this building and go for a walk with me outside where it's not quite so hot? Is that better?
Sure. What time is it right now?
It's probably like 9:30,
PM?
10 o'clock, yeah.
Oh, okay. Are you needing to walk home?
No, I just wanted to go outside where there's not so many people.
Sure. I'll take a walk.
She smiles, and as you guys are walking towards the door, she kind of interlocks her arm in yours and kind of leans her head on your shoulder and says, "I'm so glad you came out tonight, Caden. I've really missed you." For some reason, I have this image in my mind of Caden looking down at her and actually going, "Ugh."
I feel like Caden is just the Witcher.
I can totally see that. Um, The Witcher. That's good. Anyway, so do you guys make your way outside?
Yeah.
And so you guys make your way outside, and you guys are walking for a little while, and it's evening time, and so all of the bioluminescent kind of like fungi and mushrooms and stuff are all glowing in like purples and blues and casting a kind of dim light over the cavern. And she walks you over to like a bench, and she says, my feet are killing me. Why don't we have a seat on this bench here?
Yeah. How are your feet killing you? I'm like 3 times your age, 4 times your age. I guess we did just dance.
And then she's like, well, one of us didn't just spend 30 minutes in a back room with a less than savory individual. And kind of
savory enough. That sounds weird.
She smiles and she says, oh, is he? And she says, I don't know about that. I've seen him around town. And
he means well.
I'm sure he does. He does tend to spend a lot of time with people that associate with my father, though.
Okay. And anyone in particular?
I don't know. I try to avoid those people anyways. He doesn't like it when I pry too much into his affairs. It's in my best interest to keep my eyes closed, he says.
I'll have to ask Krabs about that sometime.
So, Caden, why don't you tell me something about yourself? Like, we haven't had a lot of time to just spend together. Like, what brought you to Aladoon?
Well, some stuff I'm not particularly comfortable sharing. Coming to Aladoon. Why did we come to Aladoon? I remember...
several reasons at this point.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
remember the mining company wanted to bring you to Aladoon to kind of investigate what was going on with that city.
Yeah.
The head of the mining company was there. But really, at this point, you're just here because, like, you're kind of here. This is where you're at now. Remember the tower kind of broke up, and you guys are kind of in the wind now.
Okay.
Freelance.
Well, it's a long story, but essentially, this is where I was born, and I'm just returning.
She, like, when you say that, she kind of, like, pulls away from you and, like, looks at you and she says, really? You were born here? Where did you grow up?
It's complicated. You want my synopsis of my life?
She says, did you grow up in the sprawl?
I did.
Really? What was it like back then? Oh, I've heard stories before frickin' Xander took over that it was so much better back then, that there wasn't all the gangs, and it was before my father joined the gang, turned into an asshole. At least that's what my mom tells me. She says that he used to actually be a nice man. I've never met that person. But what was it like?
I'd say it was better for someone like me at the time. Not too different from Krabs. I used to pickpocket as a young adolescent and larger scale thievery as I got older. Eventually left them. I liked it enough.
And she's kind of fingering the medallion at her neck, and she says, so what were your parents like? Were they actually nice?
Well, didn't know them. I only know bad things about my father, but after I was 20-something years old.
She says, yeah, I wish that I could leave. I wish that I was able to get out of here like you. I only know bad things about my father, too. But
Just escape to the Feywild like I did.
I've tried, actually. I've tried to
Actually,
escape.
that's kind of touchy because my other friend went to the Feywild and it's a whole mess.
She kind of like smiles at you and she says, I'd like to hear about it sometime. I remember the one time that I tried to escape, though. Didn't go well for me either.
What happened?
I'm sorry, it's just I can totally...
I love it, by the way.
She kind of giggles and laughs and smiles at you and she says, well, one time when I was about 17, my dad had just kind of like got his new kind of job as an enforcer for Xander, and he was drinking a lot, and he'd come home and he'd just constantly be drunk, and him and my mom would get into fights, and one night he came home drunk and my mom and him were fighting and he slapped her and something in me just snapped and I decided I had to get out of there. And like as she's telling this story, she's like gripping this medallion on her neck, and she says, and so I went upstairs and I packed my things and I said, this is the last night, and I wrote my mom a note and I told her to wait for me and that I'd come back for her, but I had to be free of this life, and so I ran away, and I was terrified. I'd never been alone in the city before, and so I found my way to this abandoned house, and I was able to kind of force my way into the house, and I was exhausted. I'd been walking all night, and so I fell asleep. And don't know how long I'd been sleeping, but I was jolted awake, and I looked up, and there was my dad standing in the door, and I was so afraid. Like, I knew that this was going to be bad. And he said, are you going to make a fool of me in my own city? And she kind of like stands up at this point, and she's like there's tears like kind of watering the corners of her eyes. She says that you make a fool of me in my own city, and I didn't know what to do, so I just stared at him, and then suddenly the door started banging, and my dad looked up at the door, and I saw it as my moment to get away, so I ran, and I skirted past him, and I ran out into the city, and apparently some of the peasants, some of the sprawl people had heard that there was a man in a rage searching for a woman, a young girl, and they'd all kind of banded together to kind of like stop him, and they gave me a chance to escape, and so I ran, and I thought that was it. I thought I was free. I thought I was going to get away from him, that we were going to stop him. And so I made my way to the temple district, and there was a priest there, and I asked him if he could shelter me, if I could stay in the temple, and he said yes. And one of the biggest regrets of my life that I went to there, and I asked him this because the next day I was in the temple, and he was taking care of me. I actually felt safe for the first time in so long, and he was taking care of me, and the door suddenly burst open. I guess my dad had gone to Xander and asked for him to give him some help to come find me, and I guess somebody had sold me out and told him where I was. Anyways, he came into the temple with so many people, and the priest, he tried to defend me. He said, you can't take her, this is holy ground. And she's like almost shaking now telling this story. So this is holy ground, you can't take her, she's safe here. And my dad said, he just looked at him and he kind of smiled and he laughed, and he said, this is my city. And then he stabbed him. And then the other priests, they tried to come to his aid and they tried to stop him, but there were so many, and he killed them all. And then he dragged me back home. and he locked me in my room, and she just kind of like stops, and she says, but that's fine. It is. I've never tried to leave again. That's for sure.
You said at the beginning that the mom was fighting with him and he was hitting her?
Yeah.
Okay, just making sure. I think when she's looking at Caden right now, maybe it's just not like a side of him that she usually sees, but he has like a bit of a darker expression, hints of smoke, coming out of his mouth a little bit, and he takes a breath.
Roll an intimidation check real fast.
Oh, okay. Yes, I don't want to, if I accidentally scare her.
Yes.
Okay. I have 0 charisma.
That's good. So, nope.
Yeah.
She just kind of like looks at you, and she's like, you can tell her eyes are a little bit wide, but go ahead.
Sounds like we both have really similarly dastardly fathers.
And she kind of like just like the corner of her mouth kind of like pokes up in a smile, and like there's tears kind of like running down her face, and she says, yeah, I guess so. And she kind of stares at you for a second, and then she kind of like just starts sobbing and like runs into like to an embrace for you to give her a hug.
I'll say I'll hold her for a second, or not 1 second, but I'll like let her
kind of get her shit together.
But I'll grab her by the shoulders and like pull her away a bit and look her in the eyes. Do you want him dead?
So I think her eyes go wide, and she just kind of like looks at you, and I think we actually are going to cut that scene there. Actually, no, I don't want to do that. I think that would be cool if it was a TV show, but I want to play this out. I think she looks at you, and she says, she shakes her head and says yes. And then kind of turns away from you.
I understand that. I'm torn myself for my mind.
And she says, but she looks at you and she says, but Caden, you can't do anything. He's too powerful. You couldn't. No. And she changes her mind. She says, never mind. No. He'll hurt you.
Well, I didn't say I was going to kill him. But if I have the chance, I might. I just want to know if I ever run into the potential possibility. But I also gotta keep my own father's life in my hand.
She says, I'm sorry, I shouldn't have ever even told you this story. I just feel, I don't know, Caden. I just feel safe around you. I feel like I can tell you things. Anyways, just ignore me. I'm sorry. It was, it's just the lights and the I don't know. Anyways, let's go back in and go dance some more. Alright. And you guys make your way back into the tavern, and you spend the rest of the night. Sarah's like all about dancing now. She doesn't really talk much. She's all about just kind of that release of the dancing. And I think we'll cut that scene there. Alright. So, next we're going to do Iris. Are you there, Michael?
Yep.
All right. Let me go pee real quick and then we'll do this. I'll be right back.
Goddamn Caden. Just like immediately giving away, like, oh, I'm probably gonna go do this crime.
Yeah. It's mostly me messing up and just keeping it in character. Alistair.
I am back.
Welcome back.
Okay, is everyone ready?
I don't know what
Yeah.
Adam is. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I was talking to Alistair. Give me a
I just heard the dog whine.
What?
Yeah, I just
Downstairs?
heard. Yeah.
Oh, that was probably running. They were playing or something.
Oh, okay.
My door, I shut the door.
Okay, is the music low enough that everyone can hear me?
Yeah.
Let me figure out how to turn on music, apparently. I didn't realize it was on.
Oh, you didn't hear any of the last one? So you have to set the music from your computer to play through your headphones.
I just had it really low, apparently.
Okay. I'm impressed that I got through that, getting to almost everything that I wanted to get to. Alright. So, Iris, you make your way from your house up one of the nearby ramps, and you make your way into the Gilded Plateau. And the
As she's going through, like, once she gets a fair distance from their home, she usually tries to get, like, a moment alone from the crowd, and usually changes her appearance and just what she looks like and looks like she's wearing as she's finishing the route to wherever she's going.
So, the person that Iris is out in the city looks different than the person that lives in the house with everyone?
Leaves or arrives where she's going.
Okay.
So it's mostly an in-transit thing.
Yeah, I get it. It's just that no one knows, like, the people out in the city don't know Iris the person, they know the disguise. I'm getting at that.
She does mean, so, like, if she's dealing with someone consistently, she does just being Iris. It's more of, she doesn't want to be noticed while she's around, so she's, like, a random disguise.
So, like, when you get to the library, you would, like, change back?
Yeah, and it's usually pretty generic and varied.
Gotcha. Okay. So, really, you just don't want to be accosted while you're going from A to B?
Accurate.
Okay. So, as you make your way through the Gilded Plateau to this massive library, the plateau is kind of, you have to take like a little ramp up to the plateau itself. The entire plateau itself is plated in gold, and so it's this shining kind of beacon within the city. And as you make your way up, you walk through the gilded cobblestone streets. You pass the fountain where molten gold is constantly in motion because of an ancient enchantment that they've used to keep the gold molten. And you make your way to the Grand Royal Archives. This expansive library is a quiet sanctuary even in the bustling underground city of Aladoon. There are towering bookshelves crafted with dark wood and ornate carvings that stretch endlessly in all directions, containing centuries of knowledge and tales. Warm lanterns hang at intervals, casting a cozy glow upon the reading tables and plush chairs. Amidst the maze of aisles and the soft rustled pages, patrons are lost in their reading, seeking knowledge or simply an escape. As you enter, you quickly notice your friend Del Thornbrook. He's a halfling, and he's up on a ladder, perched on a ladder, reaching for a high shelf. The glow from a nearby lantern highlights his curly chestnut hair and freckles dotting his upturned nose. He's dressed in a neat white shirt underneath a immaculately starched and straightened vest. He has on perfectly pressed brown trousers that end perfectly hemmed just above well-polished shoes. He looks every bit the dedicated librarian. And as you kind of like walk up to the stair to his ladder, what do you do?
Once Iris gets in, and if no one by now, or actually, as she approaches, she's gonna like take off her hoodie, and as she pulls it off, she's gonna just kind of like shake down a little bit, like she's dropping off a raincoat as her disguise just drops off. She doesn't mind if the people in the library particularly notice some reason.
Okay.
It's nice here.
Go ahead.
One moment, try and find this name.
Del.
Not good with names.
His name's Del.
Del.
Yes. Like the computer company.
That'll be an easy way to remember.
Del. Del. And as you say that, he kind of like startles and like starts to get unbalanced on the ladder. And hold on. And he's like, he almost topples over, but he catches himself on the kind of like the the support of the ladder, and he looks over and he goes, "Oh, hey, Iris, it's good to see you."
Voice down.
And he's like, "Oh, Iris, it's good to see you. 1 second, let me grab this book and I'll be right down. Hold on." And he puts a finger up and he like searches and he reaches over and grabs the book and he's like, "Ha-ha, found it." And then he kind of struggles his way down the ladder carrying this huge kind of like thick tome, and he carries it down and he says, "I've been trying to get that book for the last hour. I couldn't find it anywhere. Did you get Lindell's message?"
I did. Is he in his usual spot?
And Iris is gonna take a peek at the tome he's carrying. Does it look valuable, useful, or anything?
So it looks to be like a treatise on like mining statutes for the last like 30 years. And like Del notices you looking and he's like, "Oh, yeah, this is just something for that frickin' rich guy over there." And he points over to the table and he says, "Hold on, let me drop it off. I'll be right back. I have great news. Great news. I can't wait to tell you." And
Iris is gonna watch as he runs off.
he bustles over there and he puts the book down and he comes running back to you and he says, "I have something awesome to show you." And he starts walking towards his like little alcove that he has in the library, and he says, "Come on, let me show you." And he says,
Okay.
"Remember how we were trying to figure out how to decipher that ancient dialect? You know, the one for the ancient Dragonborn people? Yeah, and we were looking for it and we couldn't figure it out. Well, let me tell you, I think I found just the book. I figured it out, Iris. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be able to read so much more stuff once we figure this out. Come on." And
Yeah.
he gets to his little alcove and he rummages around. He's like, "Where did I put it?" And he's like, "Aha!" And he pulls out like it looks like a handwritten journal. It's about, the size of like a piece of notebook paper, and it's maybe like a quarter of an inch thick. And he says, "This is a translation by some old dude. I can't pronounce his name. I mean, I probably could, but I'll just mess it up. But this is a translation, and it teaches us how to freaking figure out that dialect. Can you believe it? I finally found it. What do you think?
I was gonna take a look at it and just skim through it real quick. So this book does it have like translations, or is it just something that's? Yeah, I guess that's the right word.
Yes. So it's almost like a translation key, but as you're kind of flipping through, it has translations for almost every dialect that's ever been spoken in the history of, like, recorded history.
Oh, this is very interesting. Oh my goodness. Where did you find this?
And he kind of, like, leans over kind of conspiratorially, and he's like, oh, I found a new place. I can't wait to show you. It's amazing. And you see his eyes, like, get huge with wonder, like, oh my god, this place is amazing. He's like, there's, like, so many books there that I don't think I'm supposed to see.
Is it here? In the library, or do we need to travel?
And he looks around it and he's like, no, it's right here in the library. I'll show it to you another time. I can't today. Because did you get the message from Archivist Lindell?
I did.
He told me that as soon as you get here to go see him in his study, he's got something planned for you, Iris. It looks big.
Ominous. Thank you.
He's been running back and forth to the library all day, mumbling to himself. And you know how Lindell gets when he starts mumbling to himself.
I'm familiar.
Alright, well, make sure you come find me afterwards. I want to find out what he has planned for you.
Very well. Thank you. And watch your step.
I just start walking away.
Okay. And he kind of, good luck! Alright, so, why is the music not replaying? It's supposed to play them.
Or just gonna talk to herself for a minute.
Well, I was gonna ask to make that deal to learn how to do languages anymore. It's a little bit frustrating.
As you, Iris makes her way to Lindell's study, a secluded room filled with rare manuscripts and artifacts. The door, ornate with intricate carvings, stands slightly ajar. What do you do?
Nars is listening. See if there's any noise coming from the inside.
Okay, make a perception check. You don't hear anything, except for occasionally you hear like the rustle of a page being turned.
I guess he's not mumbling today.
Iris will go and softly rap on the door.
So as you rap on the door, you hear a voice from inside the room. Let's see if I can. Hold on. Oh, is that you, Iris? Come in. Come in.
Iris will go and open the door and walk in.
I heard you had something for me today, Head Archivist.
1 second. So as you walk in, you see Head Archivist, Grand Head Archivist Lindell sitting at his desk, and this room is filled with books on tall shelves, and there's stacks of books just lying on the ground and on chairs and just all over the room. There's no candles or anything in the room, but there's like bioluminescent like mushrooms in jars all over the room to provide light. As you walk in, you kind of look to the side and you see this table that's piled high with all kinds of like tomes and scrolls and things like that. And you notice that many of them are like kind of rare, valuable tomes and things like that. And you make your way in, and he says, Iris, please, have a seat.
I shall do so.
He says, Iris, I don't know if you've known this, but I've been trying to test you the past couple of months. I've been providing you with rare and valuable books to see if you could recognize something special when it was placed in front of you. And I'm pretty sure, as you've passed all of my tests, that you were aware of me doing this?
Yes, I am quite aware, and I appreciate the assistance.
Of
It's
course.
been a very useful skill to develop.
Now, Iris, I don't say this to many of my students, but I've been very impressed with you, and I have something special for you. I have need of something, and I thought that maybe you might be the perfect one for the job. But before I put my trust in you, I need to make sure that what I think I see of you is what is actually within you. Now, do you see that table with all of those tomes and scrolls upon it? And he gestures to the table. He says, yes, on that table is a very rare and valuable tome. Something much more rare and valuable than everything else around it. Something special. I want you to find it and bring it to me. Do you understand?
Iris is gonna nod and stand up and make her way towards the table.
Okay. So on this table is just a ton of books and manuscripts and whatnot. How are you going to go about narrowing these books down to the more valuable ones?
They're just sprawled out like completely chaotically.
Yep, they're just piled on the shelf as if they were just haphazardly strewn about.
That's just poor bookkeeping.
And Iris will start like organizing them, relatively speaking. And as she's going through, she's mostly looking at the author. Probably mostly the author. Like that's her first indication.
Okay.
Then just what else would she look for? Anything recent? Probably the older the tome, the more closely she looks at it.
Okay, so let's do this. First one, I want you to roll a perception check, because you're just kind of like going through them, looking at the names and stuff like that, and you're not really delving as deep into it.
Not too good.
I'm going to give you advantage on it, because this is like rote. Like, you just do this. This is... So, as you're kind of going through, you're noticing that while all of the books are like, you know, if you saw them in a bookstore, they'd be like fairly expensive, but there's not a ton of them that are like really like exceptional. But as you're going through, you start making one pile of like just mundane books, and you start another pile of ones that you think are just like a little bit more special than the rest of them.
Okay.
And you're able to narrow the pile down from maybe like 30 or 40 down to about 6 of them, which you have kind of separated off to the side. And the entire time, Lindell is just sitting in his study, or in his chair, and he wears these gold spectacles that he wears kind of towards the tip of his nose, and he has a book open, and you can tell that, like, while he's trying to make it out like he's not watching you at all, if you glance over at him, you can always see him glaring at, or like watching you over the tops of his spectacles. And so you've narrowed it down to 6 books. And these books are that is not the correct page. This is the correct page. Alright, so you've narrowed it down to 6 books. One of them is bound in a moss green leather. It delves into the mystical secrets of ancient forests, and it is called Lore of the Deep Woods. Another is a thin volume with a shimmering cover that changes colors, chronicling the concoctions related to elemental magic. This book is called The Elixirs of the Elemental Plane. Another is a midnight blue tome sprinkled with silvery flecks. It discusses the celestial melodies that resonate across the universe, and this one is called The Stellar Symphonies.
Wow, that one looks fun.
Another is worn and battered. It looks very old. And this history book speaks of the great leaders and their empires, and it's called The Chronicles of Warlords Past. Another one is its opulent gold leaf cover and intricate celestial diagrams suggest importance, potentially leading one to believe it discusses the bridging of time and space. However, its contents primarily revolve around the spiritual rituals of a long-forgotten sect. And this one is called The Rites of the Ethereal Rift. And finally, you find like a fairly simple leather-bound tome with like a embossed clock on the face. And this one is called The Echoes of Eon, Artifacts of the Temporal Manipulation. How are you going to narrow these books down to find the special one?
I was gonna take a quick glance at them.
I do hope none of these bite.
Are you going to pick them up?
Meeny, meeny, miny,
And I was gonna pick the leather-bound one.
Okay.
And just open it up and just towards like the center of the book. Actually, just gonna start at the beginning of the book. See, there's a synopsis. You never know. I don't know how old people write.
Okay.
And hopefully it's even the same language.
So, as you're kind of reading through the leather-bound, the book, you're talking about the Echoes of Eon, right?
Yes, the last one.
Yeah, so, as you're kind of looking through it, you see that this is, it's written by one of the most powerful time mages in all of recorded history. It discusses the potential powers of different artifacts that exist in the world, and different methods of controlling time and space. And as you're kind of turning the pages, I need you to roll an Arcana check.
That one's a 13.
Wow.
As I was looking through, she's gonna think to her.
I wonder what Marcus would pick or make of this.
You know what? Roll a Arcana check for you know why. Jesus Christ, man.
Oh, I see.
He's trying to help. Damn.
Today.
So I think as you're kind of like leafing through the book, there's a moment where like you sense something, but you can't, like, you're distracted. Like Marcus is like talking to you and like trying to, like, you almost feel as if somebody in your brain is like trying to push people out of the way to look through your eyes. It's very distracting.
This is a very interesting subject matter. I think I'll just set this one aside for now.
Roll a perception check. Okay, never mind.
Oh my gosh.
I really should have just kept the lucky feat.
Okay.
I forgot I'm unlucky.
You just are done with the campaign. You're exited.
I don't know what to do right now. Okay, so what are you gonna do? You're not sure that that was an interesting book. What are you gonna do?
Let me take a look at my notes real quick, because that one by far seems the most valuable based off solely like a quick subjects glance. I mean, elemental elixirs is probably not it. The histories is important, but probably not it. Time and space, the opulent gold one. Celestial Noise, that's cool, but I don't think that one's it. The Fae Force and Magical one might be valuable. I was gonna open up the gold one, the opulent gold one.
Okay, go ahead
That has to
and
do with like space and religion.
yeah, go ahead and roll an Arcana check.
She is not expecting much out of this one.
So, because you rolled a 24, so as you're like leafing through this one, it's talking about different like civilizations and stuff that has worshipped time, and kind of like their religious practices and things like that. But as you're kind of like leafing through it, like you start to like feel yourself kind of like letting go. Like Marcus has decided that he's not as interested in this book, and so you're able to kind of like start feeling the arcane energy in the room. And you notice that the only two books in which actual any kind of energy or whatever is actually radiating from is the book in your hands and the leather one that you just put down. And you know that it's between these two books.
How's the subjects matter on this one that she's currently looking at?
Yeah, it's mostly more about like just like rituals of how they would like worship time by creating clocks and putting them on shrines and things like that. It's
So yeah,
really
she's gonna stop reading that one
yeah okay
and pick up the leather-bound one.
okay.
Alright, I'll admit, Grand Archivist, this one's a little bit beyond me. But I know the other books are trash. Okay, that's a little bit unfair, but they aren't quite this.
He says, no. In relation to that one, they are kind of trash. And he smiles, and he has like this big smile on his face, and he says, I knew you'd pick the right one. And he holds out his hands to take the book from you. You hand it to him.
I was gonna take a good look at the name of it, then hand it over.
Okay. And he takes it and he looks at it kind of like reverently. And he flips through a couple of pages and he says, this tome I found many years ago. I was during my adventuring days when I was out exploring ancient ruins, and I found a library buried beneath a city. And in that city was this tome, and it was on a platform, and there was a plaque on that platform that wrote about the dangers of manipulating time and how time is fluid, but yet solid at the same time, and that you can damage it. But all of that's besides the point. I just wanted to make sure that you were able to distinguish something rare and valuable from the less so. Unfortunately, you've passed. I have a task for you, Iris. There is an auction being held tomorrow, here in the Gilded District. I'd like you to attend this auction. They are selling some rare and potentially valuable tomes, and as you know, as an archivist, I'm always searching for new books to add to my collection here, and I know that you'll be able to discern what's worthy of our coin. I've put together a small stipend for you, and he reaches into his desk and he pulls out a bag of like a leather bag, and he shakes it in his hand, and you hear the tinkling of gold in the bag, and he tosses it to you, and he says, "This is what I've been able to scrounge up here and there. Unfortunately, the elites of the city have decided that our little library isn't quite as important as they used to believe it was, and so I've had to come to... Never mind that. But, this is all I've been able to gather. There's 700 gold in there, and I want you to take 500 of that and purchase something special for the library. And I want you to take the other 200 and buy something for yourself. Can you do that for me?"
Yes, I do believe I can.
And Iris is gonna give him a smile.
I do hope that the book I arrive with is slightly less dangerous than the one I just handed back to you.
And he looks at you and he says, "That's another thing I wanted to speak to you about, Iris. Close the door, please."
Yes, one moment.
Iris will walk over and close the door because she did not say fucking mage hand.
So as the door closes, he says, "Iris, I'm trusting you with this, but this can't leave these walls. Do you understand?"
Yes. Absolutely.
There's more than one reason that I brought this book to the test. There's an artifact at this auction. I don't know for sure that it is what I believe it to be, but it could be. And I know that you are very attuned to the arcane. I take it that's how you were able to discern that this book was so valuable, correct?
Yes. It certainly lends me an advantage.
Of course. I too can manipulate the arcane arts. Not as much now as I used to be, but I have been known to dabble. However, I'm nowhere near as powerful as you. But what I want you to do while you're there, your job really is to find me something new for the library. But I figured that while you were there, you could maybe get a look at some of these artifacts that are going up for auction, and see if any of them might be more than meets the eye. Yes. And afterwards, I'd like you to report back to me and let me know what you found. Is that something that I can trust you with?
With pleasure.
Excellent. And he reaches into his desk and he pulls out a laminated, almost like cardboard, like vellum type of a sheet of paper. It's about the size of like a large index card. And it's plated in gold with like embossed lettering. And he said, "At the auction tomorrow, there's not going to be very many people allowed into the back rooms to inspect the items before they actually arrive on the auction stage. But in order for you to pick the very best books, it is important for you to be able to handle them and touch them. And so you'll need this to get into the back." And he hands it to you. It's basically just a pass that allows you access to the artifacts before they go up for auction.
Gosh.
Would you know of how big of a deal this is? Is this something that you're aware of, or are you just...
I'm pretty sure Iris understands, like, this is rich people killing each other shit for.
Correct.
Probably.
Yes, this is something that, like, the lord of a house would get, or like the king might get one of these. But this is very valuable, so don't lose it. Like, it's very valuable. And he hands that to you, and he says, "Do you have any questions for me, or can I enlighten on anything?"
One moment. It seems pretty straightforward.
Absolutely. I knew that you'd be able to understand the task at hand. Now, before you go, I just wanted to say, Iris, I'm very proud of you. You have really surpassed any of my expectations. When I first saw you come into our library, I was not sure what to make of this small child. In my
Just look at her feet, like, not that small.
How tall are you actually?
she's I don't know how tall. I don't know. Her height is like 5'4" right now.
Okay, I mean,
I don't know if that's actually tall or not, but
I don't know why.
About that.
In my brain canon, Iris is very small. I don't know why, but
She's also pretty thin.
yeah. Anyways, and he says, I didn't know what to make of you, but watching you over these last couple of months, I've been very impressed with your dedication to the research. I look forward to us learning more from each other, and you never know, Iris. Maybe one day there's a place here in the library for you. And he looks at you kind of expectantly.
I think Iris is looking towards her. Her eyes kind of raise up from her feet and just take in the scenery around her for a second as a small mild smile starts creeping on her face.
And Archivist Lindell is like that stern, mentor teacher type person that never smiles. But as he's kind of like watching you, you see like the corners of his lips almost quiver up into a smile. But the moment is like just a flash, and then he's got his composure again. He says, yes, but that day is not today. There's still much for you to prove. I trust, that is all?
Yes, I'll be back with a new book for you.
And Iris is going to give a little curtsy and start making her way out the room.
And as you get ready to leave, and he says, be observant, Iris. Not everything is as it seems right now. There are powerful things going on in this city. Watch yourself.
I understand.
As she leaves the room and closes it, she's going to look at, I presume Valentine is just sitting on my shoulder looking like a fake owl, or like a tall owl.
Yeah, sure. You tell me. I mean, I
can't imagine keeping her literally anywhere else.
Yeah.
I'm sure she actually shows up once in a while with the damn thing on her shoulder.
Yeah, I was going to say, Caden, is this something you do often when he goes to the library?
I would say yeah.
Okay. So I think it's
I would say I send him with. I think maybe this is something we do in general.
Yeah, I would agree with
As
that.
like a mini precaution when separated.
Of course.
I'd say you could even have him sticking out of your pocket.
Okay, that works.
Like where the head is just poking out.
Ours is gonna peek into her pocket and give Valentine a little stretch.
Keep an eye out for people watching me tonight. Oh, yeah, I know.
Stretches him a little bit more than her.
Thank you.
And
goes about her way.
as you're kind of walking down the hallways away from his office, you take a corner, and you just see Dell, like hopping almost from like side to side, almost like he has to pee, that he's so excited to hear. And he sees you and he goes, "Oh, Iris!" And like he looks around, Iris, what happened? What was that all about?
Ours gonna look kind of like she doesn't want to really say.
How is it going with your friend? He seemed very droll,
And Dell's like, who? Wait, what?
Oh, fine. He just wanted me to look at some books, I think...
Are
we still near the room, or
no? You're far enough away that you're like in the depth of the library now.
I think he's saying about trying to get me a job here.
And his eyes like get wide, and he kind of like gasps. He's like, "Really? Oh my god, that would be so amazing. We could hang out every single day. Oh my god, that would be so cool, Iris. Oh, you have to take it if he offers it to you. You have to.
Did you have to go through trials for the job here? It seems rather intense.
And he's like, no, I just had to, like, show that I knew how to, like, read and catalog things. But,
No, I guess that's essentially what I did. Okay, I'm making a big deal out of it.
but I didn't test me in his... Yeah, but when I did my test, it wasn't with the Grand Archivist. It was just, like, some random librarian. This is big, Iris. You really think he just brought you in there? There had to be more to it. What exactly did he do? Tell me. I need to hear all of it. I need details on it.
Oh, some other time. Wait, I want to take a look at that book again.
Which... What? You're...
The one with the, translations.
Oh, yeah, of course. Really? What? Okay. Alright. And he kind of like he's getting the picture that you're not going to tell him. Like, you could tell he's like, he doesn't know that you're hiding it from him, but you could tell he was really wanting to get all the juicy details about what went on in there, and he's kind of hurt that you don't want to tell him. But he's like, oh, alright, Iris, well, alright, well, let's go check it out then, I guess.
We'll talk while I'm looking at it. I promise.
Okay. So you guys go and you look at it. Do you want to... Because he's going to keep asking you, are you going to be cagey about it, or are you going to tell him? Like, you could just, like, if you don't want to, like, tell me exactly, you could be like, I'm just kind of placate him, and I'll understand what that means.
Definitely going with the placate.
Okay. Alright,
Enough detail to be interesting, but not enough to, like... She's mostly trying to keep away from the auction thing and how valuable those books were.
Of course. Alright, well, I think this could be a good stopping point of you guys just kind of going and checking out that book, unless you want to roleplay anything else.
Let me think for a second. While she's here... better time space. Some of those books had really cool things attached to them, but I don't think any of them actually talk about what I'm interested in. While she's talking to... Goddamn.
Del.
Oh, his name's literally right in front of me. Del. While they're talking, Iris is gonna start asking about, like... She's gonna start trying to drop hints on what she's researching next.
Okay.
About just things related to dreams.
Okay. Okay.
Have you seen any good text-related dreams lately? Just out of curiosity.
He says, I do think I know of a couple of books. Was there something specific about them you were trying to find out?
Yes, I'm trying to, like, experience more dreams, you know. Just anything related to that's been kind of interesting lately.
And he's kind of like nodding as he's kind of like going through some books. And then all of a sudden his eyes get wide and he's like, oh, I know just the thing. Oh, but it'll take me a while to find it. Are you coming back tomorrow?
I have legitimately no idea.
So, the time that you normally would be coming here, you'll be going to the auction. So no, you won't be coming back tomorrow.
I decided no, I will not be here tomorrow. However, it's not something that's being rushed. Research, you know. It's
Okay.
It's an eventuality.
Cool. All right. Well, I actually have a couple of things that I'll put together for you, and I'll put them on your normal spot so that when you come in, they'll be ready for you. All right.
Yes.
Hers will look around as she said that a bit too loud.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Del.
He says, anytime, Iris. And he, like, kind of, like, puts his hand on your shoulder, like, Yeah, sure thing, buddy. Like, in a very friendly way. Do you want to do anything else?
Nope. I think that's about all. I think she's going to talk about, like, one of the, probably that Midnight Blue book,
Mm-hmm.
the Sexual Bodies one with him.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll probably pretend that was, like, the most valuable one or something. I don't know.
Do you get into, like, all of that, or do you just kind of say, oh, yeah, there was this book that I saw? It's up to you. You know, like, he's not going to, like, he's respectful
Yeah,
enough. He's not
that's-
going to super pry.
Yeah, probably just, like, rough. Run
Okay.
over. But yeah, that's all.
Okay.
That's good for me.
Cool. All right. So that will be the end of your little vignette, and next is going to be Ayla. Give me a second to open up a couple of things for your little situation. That one. Where are we going? Why am I not finding this? There it is. Alright. Miranda, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
So, you have finished getting ready and you've selected your dress and your jewelry and everything like that. What, kind of what dress did you pick out?
Okay. I picked a red, like a deep red dress that has a pretty full skirt. It also is a little bit off shoulder with a plunging neckline, like super plunging, like almost to my belly button.
Ooh, okay.
And my hair is done up, but it's like, it was pre-curled sort of, and then kind of put up on the top. And then there's the earrings and the necklace are like, deep red rubies as well.
Okay.
Though she's not going to put those on until she gets to her destination.
Okay, of course.
Uh-huh.
Okay. And so you make your way, towards the Gilded Plateau, and, I think you leave much later than Iris because you had to spend, a long time, getting dressed. But you make your way into the Gilded Plateau, and the same thing, you notice all of the opulence, and as you're walking along the golden cobblestone roads, you pass the golden fountain, and you kind of stop there, and you take in the palace that you are getting ready to go into, which is, let me actually stop this music.
Okay.
This way. And you see all of the people kind of arriving in front of the palace. You hear the music drifting in from inside. You see the lords and ladies all dressed in these elegant dresses and these flowing gowns, and the men dressed in doublets with high necks and frilly like kind of stuff on the front. I forget what those things are called. I think they're called frills, actually, but I don't know. But anyways, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
And they're all making their way into the front gates. But you notice that there's a short line starting to form, where people wait to actually be announced to the lady before they actually enter the halls. What do you do? Are you going to wait in the line, or are you just going to try to walk in? What do you do?
I mean, this is my friend's house, right?
Absolutely. You and
I'm
Lady
just gonna
Dahlia.
walk.
Of course. So you start walking past all of these
Oh,
people kind of waiting in this line, and like you're getting all kinds of like stares and looks, and when the I forget what they're called, like the herald, I think that's what they're called. Yeah.
Mhm.
When the herald actually sees you, he actually puts his hand out to one of the ladies that was getting ready to go in and walks over to you and kind of escorts you in through the door. And hear ye, let me announce Lady Ayla. And as you say that, you see as this person, Lady Dahlia, sees you, and she's speaking to this group of kind of ladies in these attractive dresses and things like that. And she looks over and she goes, "Oh, Lady Ayla! Oh, I'm so happy to see you!" And she comes prancing down the stairs and kind of takes your hand and says, "Oh, I'm so glad you've come. Was your trip okay?"
It was just as perfect as ever. A little bumpy.
And she smiles and she says, "Oh, next time remind me and I'll send a carriage to pick you up." And she says, "Oh, I have several people that I am dying to introduce you to tonight. But first, please, come with me to the Solar so that we can have refreshments before the banquet." And she motions towards this kind of like side room. And she kind of takes your hand and leads you into the Solar, and it's got like plush couches, and there's a balcony that kind of overlooks the sprawl, or not the sprawl, the city, and there's plants and opulent kind of decorations, and she motions to a seat for you and says, "Please, have a seat. Tell me about what's been going on with you."
Ah, thank you. Really, there hasn't been anything going on with me, just libraries, research, dinner.
Yes.
And then the only thing that breaks up my monotonous life is coming to these extravagant
Well,
balls.
let me tell you that you have become the talk of the court.
What? Why? Why me?
Oh, and she kind of looks at you like, of course they have. Like, well, you're so exotic, Ayla. Nobody's gotten to meet somebody quite like you. Your stories, your life, your adventures. I mean, why wouldn't they be interested in you? And as she's saying this, a maitre d' kind of walks in with a tray with champagne and other drinks, and he holds it out to you. And Madame.
Then I'll just put, my hand up and, shake my head politely.
And
None for me, thanks.
he nods and walks over to Lady Dahlia, who snatches a glass of champagne and takes a sip. And she says, "Well, I am so delighted that you're here tonight. It is a big night for me, don't you realize?"
Your announcement. I can't wait to hear what you have to say.
Oh, it's going to be exciting, and hopefully we can pry some money out of these tightwads. But while we're here, I have several people that I've been dying to introduce you to. And as she says that, the herald actually walks into the Solar and holds his hands out, and he says, "The Lady Felicity." And this woman walks into the Solar. She's kind of short. She's about 5'5". She has long jet black hair down to the middle of her waist. She's dressed in a black evening gown, and she's wearing a necklace or like a choker that is kind of adorned with what appears to be like raven feathers all the way around her neck. And she walks in and looks at you and kind of like smirks, like, who is this? And then she addresses Lady Dahlia. She says, "Hello, Mother." And Lady Dahlia looks up and she says, "Hello, daughter. What brings you here tonight?" And she says, and Felicity, "Well, you wouldn't think I would miss your announcement, would you? I thought that maybe you would. You never responded to my invitation." And she says, "Well, Mother, I just wanted to be here and let you know that after your announcement, I have something pretty important to announce myself." And Lady Dahlia looks at her, kind of shocked and excited, and she says, "Oh, really? Are you pregnant?" And she kind of smiles and says, "I guess you'll find out later." And she's getting ready to walk out of the room. Do you say anything, Ayla?
I'm just gonna raise my eyebrows and when she walks in the room, kind of do the whistle. Ooh.
And Lady Dahlia rolls her eyes and she says, "Yes, I don't know where I went wrong with that child. She's been nothing but a headache since she got married to Lord Cedric. Anyways,
What? Say that again?
she said, I don't know where I went wrong with that woman, or with that girl. She's been nothing but a headache since she married Lord Cedric."
Well, did she want to marry Lord Cedric?
And she kind of takes a deep breath and she says, "Actually, that is an interesting story. Actually, Felicity was being courted by Lord Devon, Ravenhold. But her father believed that it would be more beneficial if she was to marry Lord Cedric. As you know, our houses are the biggest of rivals, and back then we thought that maybe marrying our daughter into the Cedric house would build a bridge of alliance between us and maybe end some of the feud between our houses. But once she married him, she turned on us. She was very ambitious. She took all of the knowledge that she had from our house and gave it to Lord Cedric, who used it to take over some of our mining holds in the area. Let's suffice it to say that she is quite ambitious. She has become quite a problem."
Well, do you have other children? Daughters particularly?
She laughs and she says, "Unfortunately, no."
Oh, good. Because I was going to say, if you were to do the same thing, you might lose both of the daughters, but I'm sorry to say, Dahlia, but I know firsthand how heartbreaking it is to be forced to marry someone you don't know or want, and what you would do to get out of that.
Well, I do understand what you're saying. Unfortunately, it seems that she's quite happy with Lord Cedric and his power.
Well,
She's just unfortunately turned against her own family in the process.
well, maybe a nice heart-to-heart or a good whipping is in order.
She laughs and she says, "Oh, if only that was possible." Anyways, let's not talk too much about politics for now. Tell
I
me.
didn't know your daughter was considered politics.
Well, unfortunately, she is become the de facto head of the Cedric House, which, as I've said, is our primary rival in the mining district. And she's been nothing but a headache. I will say that I did educate her well. She's been quite the thorn in our side.
Well, what's new with you? Do I get to know a little bit of a hint of what you're going to announce tonight?
Oh, well, we are starting a foundation to help some of the people of the Sprawl become more educated and potentially allow the families of our miners to improve their lot in life. But I'll give you all the details once we make the announcement. But first, if you are sufficiently refreshed, perhaps I can go introduce you to some of the people that are attending my party tonight. And she kind of like rubs her hands together like she's excited to show you off, if you will.
Sure. I'll just do a little smirk and a nod with acquiescence.
Okay, so she stands up and she kind of like takes your hands and leads you into the grand kind of like banquet hall. And this banquet hall is incredibly lavish. There's pillars of obsidian, and they're banded in like gold bands. The floor is made of like mirror polished obsidian to the point where like as the people are dancing on the floor, you can see their reflections almost like a mirror as they spin in the middle of the dance floor. And as she enters, she looks around and she sees. You notice the Lady Felicity that you just saw in the room with her, sitting at a table with a young man with black hair and kind of like a white shirt with like a black doublet over it, and the person looks like this person here. And you notice as Lady Dahlia kind of like glances over that at them and kind of gets a look of confusion, and then grabs her hand and says, "Oh, look, it's Lord Ravenhold and his son. Let's go meet them." And she brings you over to these two people that are kind of standing in the corner, and one of them is like a taller man with like silvery hair. It used to be blonde, but has kind of started to turn silver in his kind of advancing years. And she says, "Oh, Lord Ravenhold, allow me to introduce my new friend, Lady Ayla." And Lord Ravenhold looks at you and smiles, and he reaches out towards you and says, "Oh, Lady Ayla, it's a pleasure to meet you." And he takes your hand in his and kind of bows down to kiss it. And just as he says that, you hear like a younger man's voice, and he says, "Oh, Father, you're not taking the most elegant lady at the ball all to yourself tonight, are you?" And he comes up to you and he says, "My Lady Ella, it is a pleasure to meet you. My name is Devon." And he takes your hand and kisses it. And he looks like this guy here.
Okay. So that's this crow son.
This is
Wait, hold on. Who is that one again?
this is Kalen Blackthorn. He is another young man, and he's hanging out with her.
Okay. And then, okay, and that's Raven's son thing, whatever?
Yes, that is Lord Ravenhold's son, Devon Ravenhold.
Okay.
And he kind of smiles at you and he says, "It's a pleasure to meet you."
And I will nod back. It is, isn't it?
He was not expecting that, is kind of taken aback, and he kind of like gives you like a little quirky smile, and he says, "So, what brings me the honor of somebody so elegant and ravishing as you?"
Ayla is a little bit of like lost for words. She's trying to control her blush, but she responds, I'm really just along here for the food.
And Devin looks over at Lady Dahlia and he says, my Lady Dahlia, do you mind if I steal this one for a little while? I'd like to get to know her a little better. And Lady Dahlia kind of looks at you for permission.
And I'll kind of like do a shrug, like a shrug and of assent.
Okay. And he says, so, Ayla, do you dance?
Sometimes.
And he grabs your hand and actually just pulls you towards the dance floor. Do you go along with him?
Yeah, and if they dance for a little bit, even though she said badly, obviously he'll notice that it's actually not bad at all.
Well, let's find
Muscle
out.
memory.
Both of you are going to roll performance checks.
Hopefully Michael got all the natural ones out of the way.
Right? Hold on. I need to do something. Bring up his character sheet. Okay. Save this and.
Oh, look at him.
So, I think he pulls you out there, and you guys kind of do the royal kind of like waltz type stance, and you guys start to dance, and at first you guys like are stumbling a little bit, but he's always like there to like catch you and make sure that you don't stumble or fall or anything. But as the dance kind of goes on, you start to remember like your days of dancing and things like that, and it all kind of comes back to you, and he actually gets like a look of surprise on his face as you start to improvise and kind of embellish, and to the point where both of you guys are kind of have all of the eyes on you as you dance in the center of the room. And you notice that some of the younger ladies are like kind of staring daggers at you, and some of the other ones are like giggling behind their hands as they watch the two of you dance. And the song kind of comes to an end, and he steps back and takes your hand and gives you an elegant bow, and he says, "Very impressive, Lady Ayla. I wouldn't have expected."
Now, why is that, sir? Is it my charming accent or my rubbishness?
He smiles and he says, "Well, you did just tell me that you danced poorly, but I couldn't tell from what you just showed me."
I might have been telling you a little fib.
He says, "So, Ayla, tell me, what brings you here tonight? What brings you to the city? I've heard that you come from elsewhere."
Well, what brings me to the city is this. I'm a really good friend of Dahlia. I've been getting to know her these past months that I've been living locally. So that's why I'm here tonight.
And what are your thoughts on our little ball, if you will?
You know, it's actually quite... When you compare it to whatever is in the real world, or just the world not here, it's like you're in a dream. It's a place of magic, but without magic. And it's kind of nice to be able to escape, and nothing really seems to matter so much. And, the less pressure is nice on the nerves.
As you're kind of saying this, he kind of looks at you, and he kind of gets this like little curious look on his face, and he says, "Lady Ayla, you're much more than you appear." And he says, "Have you been to many functions like this since you've been here?"
Oh, yes. I mean, I'm sure you have gone to more than I have here, but I have gone to a fair few. And there was a time where I went to these weekly.
Really? Where do you hail from?
It's a small place. You probably haven't heard of it.
Hmm. You can try me. I've quite well traveled.
I don't remember the name of my place.
I don't either, to be honest with
Okay.
you.
um,
That was so long ago.
I know.
uh,
I'll just call it Arniva.
Arniva, and he says, and he kind of thinks for a second. He says, "You're right. I've never heard of a place like that, but I promise you, I will find out more if it produces ladies like you.
Yeah,
Now,
you know,
go ahead.
I can't remember. Is this one of the dimensions that Arniva existed?
Yes, this is the
Okay.
dimension that it existed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. That was all. Okay. And well, if you do find out about it, I'd be interested to know what you found.
He says,
That's definitely a particular interest of mine.
he
As
said,
of late, just thinking about my home.
Of course, I'll be sure to share with you whatever I find out. I'm sure it won't be as much as you already know, but I will be happy to share. Now, can I get you something to drink?
Oh, I am pretty parched, so maybe a nice tall glass of water.
He is like reaching for a glass of champagne from one of the trays that are watching by, and then you say water, and he like pulls his hand away and kind of like fixes his hair, and he says, "Oh, do you not drink?"
I have been known to sample an ale keg or two, but not when there's a bunch of strangers around.
That's probably a wise decision.
Yes, because strange men strange tall men with long golden hair sometimes like to be a little tricky, don't they?
He kind of steps back and bows, and he says, "I assure you, I will be nothing but honorable, my lady."
Mm.
And he kind of like takes your arm and starts to lead you to kind of like one of the balconies to get you some refreshment. And as you and Lord Devon are kind of like walking towards the edge of the room, he grabs you a glass of water, and it's surprisingly like cold for water that's just chilling out in the open. And he says, "It's getting kind of stuffy out here. Would you like to accompany me onto the balcony? Maybe we can get some air, and it's a little quieter out there. We can talk eat more easily."
I am inclined to say sure. Yes.
Okay, and so he leads you out onto the balcony, and this balcony kind of is like high up in the in the manor house, and it looks out over the sprawl of the city of the Gilded Plateau, but you can also see down into kind of like the ramps and things like that, and there's like this enormous view of all of the like bioluminescent fungus and the mushrooms and stuff growing from different parts of the walls, and it's like illuminates the whole city in this kind of like blue and purple light, and you see like the entrance to the sprawl, and you see the hustle and bustle going on in the city, and Lord Devon kind of leans against the balcony and kind of like escorts you over to the balcony and leans over, and he says, "It's a beautiful city, isn't it?"
Yeah. I have seen many cities through my travels, and I do have to agree that, yeah, it is quite beautiful.
He says, when I was younger, I used to stand on this balcony, and I'd look out over the city, and I'd think, man, am I glad that I'm not living out there. But then something happened to me when I got a little older. I had an experience. I met an old lady out in the sprawl. I snuck out of my manor house and found myself in the sprawl, and I met this old lady. And as he's telling the story, he's fingering like this yarn bracelet that he has around his wrist. And I met this beggar woman, and she looked to be about 90, and she looked down on her luck. And I reached in my pocket and I pulled out a silver coin, and I held it out to her. And she took my hand and she closed my hand around the silver coin, and she looked at me and she said, "I don't need your money. I need you to change my situation." And that really stuck with me. And I started thinking about all the lives and the people that live down there in the sprawl. And I thought that with all of my privilege and money, I should do more for them. Don't you think it's important for the nobles to do more for the little people?
Endlessly important. It wasn't until I started doing more traveling that I learned that the majority of nobles don't actually help the poor. That was definitely something new. There would be a helpless girl and her friends, and they would literally be begging, crying help to the noble guards or to noble men with lots of resources, and guess what?
They
They
do
didn't
anything.
even blink an eye.
Yeah. And as you say this, he says, "Yeah, I've seen moments like that, and I will tell you, this city is no different than the nobles you've seen out in your travels, but I like to think that at least the Ravenholds, and the alliance that we've made, the True Rots, we're trying to be different kinds of nobles."
Well, I hope you guys succeed.
And as you say that, you hear the music kind of come to a stop. And you hear the tinking of a glass. And you hear as all the voices start to quiet down, and Devin looks at you and he says, "Oh, it's time for the announcement." And he kind of gestures for you to follow him back inside to listen. And I'm guessing you follow him.
Oh, yeah.
And so as you kind of like step back into the ballroom, you see as a tall kind of man with like dark black hair, a mustache. He doesn't have a mustache in this picture, but he should. It looks like this guy. Holding a cane, wearing like a black cloak, or not cloak, like suit type jacket thing. And he holds up his glass and he says, "My esteemed guests, I have an announcement." And everyone kind of quiet down and turns to Lord True Rut. And he says, "Today we gather to honor a remarkable woman, my beloved wife, Lady Dahlia." And he kind of gestures to her, and everyone does the quiet, noble clap. He says, "While many of you might be familiar with the grandeur of the True Rot name, today I want to relate a story that may have transformed our legacy." And he pauses for a second and holds his hand out to Lady Dahlia, who comes up and kind of blushes and gives him a kiss. And he says, "Many years ago, after a particularly profitable venture, I was reveling in our success, lost in the lavishness of our achievements, but unbeknownst to me, my dearest Lady Dahlia's heart had wandered. wandered towards the echoing cries of those less fortunate. She witnessed the sorrow of the miners' families, their daily struggles, and the challenges they faced to provide us all with the privileges that we enjoy even tonight. And Lord Devon kind of like stands closer to you and feels very proud of this moment, kind of looking on. And he said, Lord True Rock continues. One evening, she came to me with fire in her eyes, and she pleaded to me for change. She spoke of this young girl, tears streaked with dirt, holding on to a memory of a lost father. Her words painted vivid images of suffering and sorrow, a stark contrast to the opulence I was surrounded by. And I confess, my initial reaction was one of dismissal. I questioned the expense, the potential dent in our profits, but as days turned into weeks, I watched as Lady Dahlia, with unwavering resolve, dedicated herself to the cause. She wasn't asking for change. She was embodying it. It was her passion and her dedication, and above all, her immense love for those in need, that finally moved my heart. She taught me that our legacy is not just built in gold and gems, but on the love and the care that we extend to every soul here in Aladoon. And so tonight it is my pleasure to announce the formation of the True Rot Academy, a place where all children of the men and women that make nights like this possible will be given the very best education and the opportunities to lift themselves out of poverty. Now, please enjoy yourselves, and the clerks will be available to accept your generous donations. And everyone claps in applause, and Devon looks at you and he says, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Me and the True Rots, the Ravenhold name and the True Rot name, we're going to be a source of change in the city.
Now, if you don't mind my prying, weren't you supposed to be betrothed to their daughter?
I'm trying to think of how he reacts to this. He kind of like has this smile on his face, like this, like kind of, yeah, I'm the man. And you say that, and his smile kind of fades, and he says, that is true.
I can't help but wonder, with your guys' goals and opinions so aligned, why that didn't fall through. That had to have been heartbreaking for you.
He kind of, like, you can tell that he's a little, like, melancholy about this. And he says, I won't lie to you. In my youth, I believed that I would marry Lady Felicity. But, unfortunately, her family had different plans, and she was more ambitious than she was in love with me. So, unfortunately, that never took place, but...
Oh. It was her choice, then.
She was promised to Lord Cedric, but she could have chosen a different path.
Well, I apologize for bringing up this painful memory. I was just merely curious. This is such a great thing that these two families are doing, and to have to have somebody you care about kind of oppose you on many things is...
Yes, it's not ideal. It is sometimes maddening, unfortunately.
Yes. Well, I'm sure you will find true happiness.
He kind of smiles at you and he says, well, I hope so. And at that same moment, you hear another voice kind of call out. And he says, hey, Ravenhold. And he turns around to see this man kind of walking up. And he says, Blackthorn. And the guy that's walking up is with black hair, and he looks to be a little bit older than Devin. He walks up and says, "And who might this beautiful young lady be?" And he kind of takes your hand and kind of
You're plenty.
and kind of like
Sure.
tries to pull you. Go ahead.
I think I might be older than you.
And he laughs and he says, "Well, I could never tell by looking at you. You're quite beautiful." And he kind of kisses your hand and actually kind of tries to pull you away from Devin a little bit.
Are you saying that elder women can't be beautiful?
He says, if they look like you, then of course they could, because you are quite stunning.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, "Ravenhold, you're trying to keep all the beautiful women to yourself tonight." And Devin looks at him and he says, "What do you want, Blackthorn?" And he says, "Oh, nothing really. I just wanted to come over and let you know that me and your girlfriend have worked out something interesting that I can't wait for you to find out about."
Your girlfriend.
And he looks at Devin looks at you and he said, like, gets ready to raise his hands, and Kaylin says, "Oh, I'm sorry, your ex-girlfriend. My bad." And then he looks at you, Ayla, and he says, "Wow, that dress is amazing on you. But you know what would make it stand out even more?" And he kind of does like a flourish, and he pulls out 3 necklaces, and they have like gold chains, and on the like for the pendant on each one of these necklaces is like a large precious stone. Like there's one that's like a ruby about the size of like the entirety of like a man's thumb. Another one has like a beautiful emerald that's about the same size, and another one has like a sapphire. And he holds all 3 of them up to you, and he says, "Which one do you think would look the best on you?"
You know, I don't know if there's a proper answer to that question, because clearly anything would look the best on me.
And he says, "Oh, I agree." And he actually like kind of like slips behind you and kind of like sleight of hands the other 2 into his pocket and holds the ruby up to your neck and actually like leans close to you as he starts to try to put it on your neck.
And I'll kind of like, back away and like, unfortunately, that very lovely necklace is going to clash with the one that I'm already wearing. And this one I just can't take off. It's from a very dear friend of mine.
And he looks at it, and what does this necklace look like?
You know, it's funny. It's a giant ruby with diamonds around that surround it. So it's a teardrop-shaped ruby that have little diamonds around it, and like the chain. It's not like one of those chain. It's like imagine vines kind of curling. So it's like that part's like gold, like solid gold, and then on the leaves it's little flecks of emerald.
Okay. And this is a large ruby, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He actually like didn't notice that and kind of like leans over like your shoulder, like his face like kind of close to yours, and like looks down at it, and he's like, "Oh, it is very beautiful, but it pales in comparison to you." And he kind of like whispers that in your ear, and then kind of pulls away from you and says, "Well, Ravenhold, it looks like, unfortunately, she would prefer your smaller gems to my larger ones. But, c'est la vie. Keep your ears open. There may be a bit of a announcement that you might be hearing soon." And he takes your hand, Ayla, and like twirls you into like a little spin, and then bows and kisses your hand, and he says, "Lady Ayla, it's been a pleasure. Hopefully I'll see you again soon."
You know, lady. What was his name again?
Lord Kalen Blackthorn.
You know, Lord Blackthorn. Some cause happiness wherever they go. Others, whenever they go. It was a pleasure meeting you.
I think he smiles like huge, and he looks over at Devin. He says, "You've got to keep her there." And he kind of turns on his heels and starts to walk away. And Devin looks at you and he says, "I'm sorry about that. That's just Kalen. He likes to embarrass me."
I I wouldn't consider that being embarrassing for you. That was very embarrassing for him. Who decides to let me just put this giant, expensive piece of jewelry around your neck? Who does that? I can just take it. Like, embarrassing. Ugh.
he, he smiles and kind of laughs, and he says, "Well, he is the heir to probably the largest conglomeration of gem mines in the entire city. So he likes to show off a little bit."
To take from the top, eh?
Yes.
You know what? I should have just kept the necklace and turned it into money. I'll use it somewhere, like what you were saying. I know a fair few people who can use a little pick-me-up, but my housekeeper would know what to do, and I think that she'd be very, very happy with something like that.
I bet she would. And as she says that, or he says that, you hear another tinkling of a glass as you look up and you see Lady Felicity standing with a glass in her hair and banging on it with her spoon. And everyone's kind of like confused, like they didn't know that this was about to happen. And everyone kind of quiets down and the music stops again. And they all turn to Lady Felicity. And she says, "As tonight is a night for announcements, I might have one of my own." And she kind of turns and kind of swirls around and looks at everyone. And as she does, you see as Lord Kalen walks up to her and stands next to her with a huge smile on his face. And he says, "I would like to announce that House Cedric and House Blackthorn have come to an agreement that all future extractions of gems will be exclusively available through House Cedric." And she glares daggers at her mother. And you can see as when she makes this announcement, you hear like gasps and like shocked kind of murmurs start to spread through the ballroom. And Lady Dahlia kind of like her mouth is kind of hanging open, and she leans over to Lord Truerot and says something, and then she walks defiantly through the middle of the ballroom as everyone's kind of watching her, and there's murmurs going on, and people are gossiping and talking behind hands over their mouths. And she grabs a hold of Lady Felicity's arm and tries to start to drag her out of the room. And you see as Lady Felicity rips her arm out of her hand, and she says, "Don't touch me, Mother. You can still have access to your gems. You'll just have to buy them from me." And she turns and storms out of the ballroom. And you see as Devin is like standing there with his mouth hanging open as well. What do you do?
I'll go run up to Dahlia and, offer comfort.
And yeah, Lady Devin kind of actually follows along with you. And Lady Dahlia is just standing there like stunned with her mouth hanging open. And as you walk up, she kind of looks and she like closes her mouth and kind of like steels herself. And she says, "Oh, Lady Ayla, I trust you're enjoying your time with Lord Ravenhold?"
Oh, Dahlia, you don't have to pretend with me.
You see like her eyes start to like glisten, And she says, "Oh, that's nothing. It's
Why?
just
No,
her showing
why-
off."
Let's take some fresh air. I think we've had a little bit too much to drink, yeah?
And she says, "Oh, yes. Uh, yes." And she starts to walk out of the ballroom.
Yeah, and I'll take her arm and,
Okay. Devin starts to follow. Do you do anything?
Well, no, I don't think I was thinking about him.
Okay. So he follows along with you guys, and you guys make your guys' way out of the ballroom, kind of through some hallways into like a sitting room. And as you the door is kind of open for her, and as she walks in, she rips something up off of the table and like throws it on the ground, and she says, "That daughter of mine." And
Who does she think she is?
exactly, who does she think she is? She's like, "How dare she make an agreement behind my back? She knows that we need access to those gems. Ugh, she's undercutting us at every chance." And Devin kind of walks up to her, and he says, "Did you know anything about this? How could we allow this to happen? This could be a problem." She says, "I know it can. She's going to mark everything up."
Lady Dahlia, do you know that I have a particular set of skills?
And she looks.
Tell me, what do you think you would need? And I could tell you that maybe I might be able to help you.
She smiles at you and she says, "Oh, I'm sorry to drag you into all of this. This is just house politics. What do you mean?"
Who better to help? I don't really have any stake in politics other than being your friend. So, my motivations aren't jaded by anything else. And as my friend, you should know that I am fearlessly and unapologetically loyal. Do you want me to tie the horse reins together? I will. The horses will trip. Do you want me to put cow manure in their bed? I will. If you want me to stop someone, and I give her a serious look, I will.
As you're saying this, you say the horse manure thing, and she kind of laughs, but then she kind of stops, and she's standing there, kind of with her arm crossed under her breast, and the other one kind of like holding her chin, kind of tapping on her cheek. And she's thinking, and she says, "You know, Ayla, I may be able to use you for something after all. Give me a couple of days. I will get back to you, but I may have a task for you. Yes, I may have a plan.
Okay.
Stay here. I'll be back." And she actually leaves the room. And Lord Devon's like, "Well, that was unexpected."
I wonder if her birth was unexpected too. I mean, Lady, what's the actor's name again?
Lady Felicity.
Lady Felicity, that is. I still just can't figure out why. She has her family, and why would she choose to betray that? She has her family.
And he looks at you and he says, "Lady Felicity's always been quite ambitious. When we used to speak, she would tell me about how her dream was to unite all of the mining companies and become the most renowned woman in all of Aladun politics. She craves power. She craves attention. It's like her water."
Oh, maybe we can just ignore her.
Maybe. Listen, I've really, really enjoyed getting to know you tonight, Lady Ayla. Do you mind if I proposition you with a adventure?
Okay. You lost me at proposition, but you got me back at adventure.
And he laughs and he says, yes, maybe not the best choice of words, but I am attending an auction tomorrow. And there are going to be some extravagant artifacts being sold at this auction tomorrow. Would you perchance accompany me?
Artifacts. Artifacts. What kind of artifacts?
Well, there's a exceptional watch that's supposed to be auctioned off. Also, one of my informants has informed me that there is a collection of older, ancient storybooks for children. I was thinking about potentially bidding on them to perhaps start like some kind of a reading group.
Oh. That's very sweet of you. What is... Books, watches, Felicite. Do you know, I think I might want to go just to see the show that might happen.
Yes. In fact, Felicity's house is the one holding the auction, and I would like nothing better to take some of these objects from underneath her at a reasonable price. So,
You know, if there's any objects that have magical properties, I imagine so. They're artifacts,
oh, of course,
after all.
there's always at least something that's a little bit more than meets the eye. And he actually pulls out a like a little card. It's plated in gold. It's about the size of a small index card. And he says, and I'll get us in to check out the goods before they actually go up for auction, so we know what to actually bid on.
Okay. I'm sold. And though I wouldn't say this is considered an adventure, but this is considered a non-boring afternoon.
He says, perhaps we could consider it a date?
And that'll just kind of like, Ayla will just kind of like laugh and, pat his arm and then
Leave him
walk away.
and he's just gonna be like, wait, so is it a date? Anyways, so yeah, you walk out of the room and kind of go find Dahlia, and that is where this little scene will end as well. So the night has ended for all of you. You all make your way back to your house, and as Ayla kind of walks in, I'm guessing you were probably there very late, right, Ayla?
Yes.
Okay, and so you kind of were the last to kind of arrive home, because this party didn't even start until like 10 o'clock at night. So you're kind of the last to walk in. And Iris and Caden, I'm going to say that both of you guys are kind of sitting at the dinner table. Let me ask you, actually, what is your routine at the end of a night? Do you guys like to stay and wait up for each other, or do you go to bed as soon as you get home? What's the kind of process there?
I think for me, like, if I'm home before them, like, I will probably, obviously, get ready for bed and clean up and everything like that. And, the one piece of furniture that I wanted in a common room was a big old cozy chair, and I'll probably just sleep in the chair until they get home, because, I finally feel like I have attachment to friends and I get worried and I don't want them to really
Of course.
bug out about it.
Okay. What about you, Iris?
Iris will do the same for Ayla. She'll probably literally sleep in the exact same chair waiting for Ayla.
Okay.
No offense, Kaden, but not for Kaden. Kaden's a group way too much after himself.
What about you, Caden?
Whether I would stay up and wait,
Mm-hmm.
I think he would try and fall asleep wherever he decided to sit down at.
Okay. So, Ayla, as you kind of walk into the into the house, you see Iris kind of sitting in your big cozy chair, kind of like curled up, and you see Caden sitting in his sitting chair in front of the fireplace, and he's like got his head back, and he's totally like and you walk in, and right as you walk in, you see as Laura comes bustling down the stairs. She says, "Oh, Ayla, welcome home. Let me go ahead and get those, your shawl for you." And she, like, starts taking all your jewelry, kind of upstairs, unless you want to go upstairs and change.
Oh, no, she could take it all because, Ayla's going to, like, plop down on Iris. Because it's a big chair. And she's going to plop down and, like, be like, "Hey." You know, kind of do like a, she got really playful when she got close to Iris. Like you know, as reminiscent of being like with Vernon and Jamie.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, what are you dreaming about? Books with wings that tell you their stories?
I was gonna stare up at Ayla and give her a nice smile.
Ayla, I'm just a lot on my mind today. Can we just stay here for a bit?
Yeah.
I was just gonna snuggle in and go kind of quiet.
So a couple of moments later, Laura comes down the stairs with a big kind of cozy blanket and walks into the living room and kind of tosses the blanket over the two of you. And she has like another like thin blanket that she kind of just tosses over Caden's feet. And then she kicks Caden's feet to wake it off of the like the little ottoman or whatever to wake him up. She's like, "Wake up, Caden!"
Oh, I'm on mute. What was that for?
You were snoring.
Yes,
Oh, I was awake.
sure you were. It was quite
When did
annoying.
you guys get here?
They've been here for at least 5 minutes, Caden.
Hours.
Hours, yes, that's what I meant to say. Now,
I saw him coming.
now that we're all here and awake, I think you guys need to tell me about your night. And she sits there and listens to all of you kind of relate your stories of the evening. And now that all of you guys have kind of related your stories about what happened to you, all of you, go ahead and talk how you guys would after you guys know all of the details about each of your guys' kind of little adventure.
Okay, so you're telling me that we're all supposed to be going to the same auction tomorrow, and we're getting there by different circumstances?
Yeah, it must be different auctions.
No. This is very amusing. You know, I almost said no to going to the auction because, I mean, if I want something, I can just get it. Buying, stealing, I don't know.
And
So,
Laura says, "But, Ayla, tell us about, Devin. What was he like?"
blonde? And different than your average, rich person. He seems to actually want to help those who are less fortunate than himself, which is really nice.
She says, "Well, he is one of the most eligible bachelors in the city," and kind of gives you a wink.
Well, too bad my home isn't here.
And
I was just gonna smile at that one.
I do intend to go back home one day.
Of course, dear, but wouldn't it be that much more fun to arrive home with a man on your arms?
Do you think that man would want to leave his lavish home for a small place? Not quite as extravagant.
She kind of like thinks for a second, and like she gets this kind of like faraway look, and she says, "You'd be surprised what men will do for a woman."
But what if the woman comes with 2 other men?
I think she looks at you and goes, "You sly devil, you."
Did you get it, Brandon?
Yes, I get it.
You knew it.
What are you saying?
She said, "What if the girl comes with two other dudes?"
And then I giggled.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Comes with two guys.
Yeah.
All right. Hold on, my headset's gonna die. I'm gonna switch it real quick, and then we'll keep going. Hold on. Okay, can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, to be honest, I don't really know what's I like. I've never actually considered that at all. The last time I considered anything to do with that, I was just turning 13.
Oh, so, uh, she says, so, about 10 years ago?
No.
She smiles and she says, I know. Now, perhaps we should discuss, arrangements for tomorrow. Is there anything that I can get for you all?
Food. Pack us a lunch. Please.
I'm sure there will be refreshments there, but I'll be sure to make sure that I pack you a snack. I know how you are, Ayla.
I'm just curious. Oh,
Go ahead.
sorry. I'm just curious, Caden. You agreed to steal the fancy watch for this weird friend that you made? But I'm really surprised that you
I didn't
agreed to
say
do
I
it.
was gonna seal it. I said we'll start with, just showing up, and then we'll see.
Because I honestly never trusted your friend.
That's
And
gonna be.
the way you, I mean, I don't really trust anybody, but the way you describe that interaction, I don't think there's anybody that he's actually stealing it for. Or at least, if there is, it's not who he said. I don't know. There's something important about this watch, apparently. And somehow, this little mole knows. What's his name? Monkey, mole, crab. Oh, okay. Crabs. How did one get that name?
I imagine I deal with shellfish.
Yep.
Oh,
Yeah.
Ayla, let me tell you, I know the whole story, and I will relate it to you if you'd like.
No, yeah. I'm very interested to know about that one time.
Well, what Caden doesn't want to tell you is when Krabs was a youngster, you know how the people on the street, they always like to be the first to lose their virginity, is the best way to put it. And, well, this individual found one of the lowborn ladies, and he thought that he would woo her, and he tried to trick her and take her to a abandoned cottage down by one of the canals. Unfortunately, he hadn't investigated it first, and the bedding that they did things in, it was infested with crabs. And so the next day they were itching themselves. It was the talk of the entire city. Oh, yes. And the nickname stuck.
That's really, that makes me happy that I've never. I don't think I'll ever. I don't think I'll ever do that. That is just. The more I hear about relations between people, the less appealing it seems. Crabs, hay in your butt, people watching, bleeding. What is this?
Well, my dear, you'll understand eventually. Maybe when you're a little older. But she says, so, Caden, have you been, spending much time with crabs?
Please say no.
I've been sure to wash your clothes a little bit, extra the last couple of weeks.
He knows I have a 2-foot radius. He can't get closer than that.
That's a good idea. I think I'll borrow that.
What about that girl who likes to get within your 2-foot radius?
It's more like she likes to spend time with me. I mean, she's a sweet girl. Hey,
She is at that, Caden. When are you going to bring her around to meet everyone?
She can be his granddaughter.
yeah, that's how I feel about it. to eventually let her down easy, I guess.
I don't envy you that, Caden. I've seen the way she looks at you.
She's young. There's plenty of eligible, age-appropriate bachelors for her.
Even my son is too old for her, in my opinion.
How old is your son?
He's like, shit, 40-something.
And
Caden, since we were on the subject of you walking out potentially with a valuable object,
I
if you
said I was
aren't,
gonna look.
if things happen, as things are known to happen, I might have an alternative person who would be willing to buy it if it's of a certain value. I.e. dangerous or magical. I'd rather trust it with...
A person of learning?
Yes.
Yes. I have to agree with Iris. If we're going to steal anything, I want to steal it for a library.
And I'm sure they could compensate.
I'm curious because
Okay.
the person who wants it from me, I'm not allowed to see.
That's suspicious.
That is extremely suspicious.
Yeah, but that makes me
What?
curious.
But, okay. What if... I'm just throwing it out there because you know me, I'm always on the lookout for things that can help me get Jamie and Vernon back. What if it's something that has to do with time and dimensions? Can I keep it?
Yeah.
Okay.
now, guys, far be it from me. I don't care what you guys do in your own free time and when you're out there in the city. I know that you're all adults, but I would just like to caution all of you. I just want you to know that the security at these places is quite intense, so please be careful. I can't be left all alone here in this nice house. As much as I don't mind you getting arrested, Caden, I'd be very upset if Iris and Ayla had to deal with any of the repercussions of your actions.
But what if we just buy it?
No.
Wait, okay, just think about it like this. Okay.
This is gonna start laughing when he says it.
No.
No, period.
Okay, we have quite a bit of money between us, right? We can buy it, or I don't know. I'll think about this. Blah, 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 blah. I'll think about this. Plus, I did meet a gentleman who might want to woo me, and maybe he would be willing to throw in a couple hundred gold if I'm a little bit lacking. And if anybody tries to steal it from me, we'll just kill him, or knock him out, or turn him in. And I look at Laura.
Turn them in zombies. I mean,
And she just kind of smiles and says, I've always known that you have a good head on your shoulders, Ayla. The legal means is always the best means. Isn't that right, Caden?
I was thinking that we could try to make sure that some shitty guy gets it and then we rob him.
That's an option as well, I guess.
Say that again? Oh, a shitty guy, what?
Help a shitty guy get it, and then we steal it from him.
if it helps, Laura,
So it
you
doesn't
can...
feel bad to steal it from him, but it feels good to steal sometimes from the right people.
If it helps, Laura, you go make some tea while we continue discussing this plan.
Oh,
Who's making tea? Oh.
of course. And she gets up to go make you guys some tea.
Okay, so, when the poor, terrible person we want to get it leaves with it, we just follow him for a while. That's easy. I like it.
Okay, so when you're saying when the poor, you said when a poor person?
As in, poor person, or more poor morality.
Oh,
I love
I think we're on the same page.
okay, so you want somebody of great means but bad morals
That should be
to
easy.
buy an item, but don't you think that somebody of that caliber would have protection? I'm not about to try to make a mass grave here. The last time I tried, I died.
very true.
Yeah, you're right.
We'll just
We
play
should
it.
do-
If you
I
have
should spend money on it.
I will try if it's. I'm really just saying if it's something that could benefit me, or even Iris's studies, because we are still doing something very similar. I feel. If it can benefit us, then maybe yeah, we can try to buy it. But I guess if we get to outbid, I would say don't attack them on the street home. We can just follow them home and see what their home is, and keep our eyes on them, and take it inconspicuously.
We'll play it by ear. Yes, I like it.
Sounds like a plan. I guess we'll start with trying to bid. Oh. I don't like that.
Also, you would know, Caden, like, I don't think, Krabs would be 100% on board with that. So,
Oh yeah, I wasn't even thinking of that.
yeah.
You have an issue of trying to get in, don't you?
Who?
Caden.
Why?
I mean, Aiden and I have passes.
Oops.
And I honestly am not going to let you in on my pass if you're going to just try to steal it for Mr. Lobster.
Sure.
Crab.
No, maybe not. I don't know how tight security is.
I'd only be okay with Crab getting it if I don't want it. Just putting that out there.
I love this. This has been pretty good. Alright, so
And a forgery skill? No.
here's what I want you guys to do. If you guys want to continue this conversation, you can always do it in the camp chat thing. But next session is going to be you guys all going to the auction to acquire whatever things that you end up acquiring there. So,
Alright.
if you have any ideas for stuff that you want to do to prepare, Laura will be more than willing to gather any kind of things that you guys want. It'll just cost you gold. She doesn't acquire things for free. So, also, keep in mind that at the beginning of every session, starting next session, you are going to need to pay 50 gold and upkeep for your house. So just every session is going to be 50 gold.
50 gold total or 50 gold each?
50 gold total.
Okay.
Alright.
Sounds
So,
good.
what'd you guys think of the session?
I thoroughly enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
I wish it was back to 6 so we could keep going. But it is actually 10.
And what made this great was I remembered that I had freaking coloring books, so I've been able to just sit here and color and actually focus on what was happening.
Nice. So what'd you guys think of the characters? Do they feel more like actual people now than usual?
I'm pretty happy with them so far.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You did a good job fleshing them out.
And I haven't wanted to kill any of them. Well,
Mm-hmm.
the rich dude seemed a little bit freaky, but otherwise I haven't wanted to kill too many of them yet.
Did you guys get my insult when I went right? That's why you guys laughed. My insult to the dude.
Oh yeah.
I feel like you gave a lot of insults to that guy.
Yeah.
I think there's at least 2 of them.
Because it was like some. Well, hold on, now I can't remember what I said.
It was some people bring joy when they arrive, and some people bring joy when they leave.
Mhm.
Bye,
Yeah,
by the
when
way.
they go. Yeah.
He,
Yeah.
just so you know, he definitely caught it.
Okay.
Yes. That's why he made the this is a keeper. Like,
Yeah.
that was a, he likes you more because of that.
That was a solid fucking insult.
Yeah.
I know. That was an intentional one for me. I was very, very pleased and proud of myself.
I will. One thing that I will say is probably the hardest part of all of this was playing nobles. I don't know how they are. Like that Sarah person, I know how she acts. I know how Krabs acts. I knew the librarian, but playing all of those nobles was very difficult for me. So,
Oh, and it's also important to note that Ayla doesn't know what she likes. She doesn't she doesn't know if she likes men. She doesn't know if she likes women. If she doesn't know if she likes people in general because she spent most of her life just obsessing over getting her friends back.
Yeah, for sure. I totally like. By the way, if I ever introduce romantic interest to anybody, I never feel pressured to fucking go along with it.
Oh yeah, I wasn't feeling pressured. I thought it was fun.
Of course, that's kind of what I thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like the new kind of Ayla direction. I really am glad that you decided to go with the kind of trying to get back into court politics and shit like that. Because I think like this little household war could be a fun little storyline that we can explore too. So, by the way, just so that I know for when I'm prepping, so I can prepare shit, are you actually like interested in helping Dahlia out?
Yeah.
Okay. Good, because I have some ideas for that shit. You are taking the exact path that I was attempting to lead you down during that little fucking vignette thing.
Cool.
And then Caden. So, like, did you like how I kind of... Like, I realized that Sarah's character is completely irrelevant to anything, but did you like that I kind of tried to give you a character that has, like, a side story to it that you'd be interested in?
Yeah, no, it makes sense for Caden, because he can attach him, like, his backstory to it quite a bit.
It's kind of the idea I was going for. Now, with Iris, it's always hard because you're so antisocial.
Yeah, by the way, if we roleplayed a bit more, Iris would be very antisocial. Yeah, Iris is super antisocial. I don't need to be helped.
Yeah, I know.
Except for Ayla now is forcing her.
Yes.
I'll tell you, like, short summary, Iris is thinking about going to a different library at this point.
Too much attention. It doesn't like it. You're such an introvert.
Yeah. However...
It's funny.
Yeah. I'm not going to say anything, because I will just let it play out, and I will react to things that happen. I thought it was cool.
She isn't, because she thinks this is too important, like, it's too good of a library to pass up, but damn, if she could go to a different library, she fucking would right now.
For sure. Oh, by the way, so, Miranda, did you kind of catch on to the dynamics of what's going on with the 4 houses and why her little announcement was a big deal?
I don't know if I did.
So, alright. And pretend that this is kind of Lara. This is, by the way, why I put Lara in the game. Is so that, like, any kind of lore dumps, basically, Lara basically just tells you, because she's keyed into everything that's going on in the city. So, the Lady Felicity, she is the head of the rival house to her mother's, and her mother's house produces like jewelry, like gems and like expensive jewelry, right? And so they get their gold from House Ravenhold. That's basically what they do, is they extract gold and iron. But they don't have any, like, forges or ways of turning that stuff into, like, finished products. And so they use the true rots to produce all of that gold, and they basically just make their money like that. And then Lady Felicity, the House Cedric, they produce like iron and stuff like that, and so they make weapons and shit like that. But House Blackthorn has like the richest, most like profitable iron or gem mines in the entire of the realm. And so if you want like really big gems or like really high quality like gemstones, you buy them from Blackthorn. But now Blackthorn is going to sell every single one of their gems to House Cedric, who will then mark them up and sell them to House True Rock. So basically she's undercut a significant portion of their profits by making this deal. And so that's why it's a problem.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
But yeah. So, yeah. I will say this. It went almost perfect to what I fucking wanted it to do. Except for like, I had some things I wanted to do with the ball that, like, I forgot about or whatever, but I liked the role-playing. I thought it felt like an actual role-play session instead of me making a bunch of shit up.
Yeah, whenever I was role playing with you, my initial reaction was to be like totally sour, but I was like, wait, Ayla's here by her own free will. She's gonna play along.
Exactly, yes. I could sense a little bit of that. I wasn't totally positive how I was going to deal with that, because if you, like, didn't want to hang out with any of the people at the freaking ball, I was like, well, I don't know how to...
Yeah, it's like, what's the point? But I was like, yeah, she went here on purpose.
Yeah, and she's
So
trying...
Sorry, go on.
She's trying to, put herself back into that kind of a lifestyle, and I think she's knowledgeable enough to know that you have to fucking pretend a little bit.
Yeah. And but she's still obviously maintaining her grit, I guess.
Yeah. Anyways, I'm interested to see how much you end up either hating or actually liking this Kalen guy. Because honestly, when I made this character, he's like pompous and shit like that. But actually, him and Ayla are kind of very similar people. They look at life in a very similar way. Like, he's kind of like Ayla in her kind of grumpy Gus kind of behavior. The only difference is he likes to make jokes and make fun of people, which I think is definitely not an Ayla thing.
No, she just likes to be mean.
Exactly. He likes to make fun of people and embarrass them in front of others. Yes. Yeah. Well, do you guys have any thoughts or anything? Any, like, idea of how you want the next session to go?
No.
First thought is, if it wasn't 10 at night, I bet we could probably roleplay for the next fucking 2 hours.
Yeah, I can see that for sure. Like, that's one of the things that I have to give you all credit, is I really wanted to, like, get you guys back into role-playing, and you guys all definitely leaped back into it, so you guys did a good job.
Yeah. It usually takes me a little bit to, like, get it going. Like, I need to feel like I understand where I'm at, what's going on, what my intentions are in the moment. Because once that initial thing hits, it just takes getting it moving, you know?
Well, one of the things, like, I kind of, like, called this, like, a session 0.5 for our campaign, is I wanted to give you guys an understanding of kind of, like, where you guys were in the city and the stuff that was going on, so that as things go forward, you had a foundation to base your role-playing on. Like, you have a foundation now of what these people are, what you think of them, and stuff like that. So, anyways, but yeah, that was a fun session.
Yeah, I did enjoy it.
Excellent. So next week, same time, and we will be doing the auction house. So, I guess, unless anyone else has anything that they want to say, I can go ahead and stop the recording.
No,
Yeah,
I think I'm good.
Alrighty. So.
Yeah, I'll hang